Are you ready? Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Are you wide awake?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
Why are you not wide awake?
Because I'm half asleep.
Oh, well, there you go. What
That's
time did you go to bed?
at 2.
2.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's great. Well, you've had 4 hours sleep.
What?
You've had 4 hours sleep.
Um,
What?
yeah, I guess so.
That's more than enough, no?
I had a break in the middle, though.
Yeah? Why, was it tiring?
Yeah. I had to go and fill up the milk cup. Yeah. She's probably going to give you a piece of her mind.
Sure.
Because you're talking and she's sleeping.
Sorry about that. That's the price you pay for sleeping with Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So I've learned.
Oh well, it's all for a good cause, as they say.
You know what's funny?
Jokes.
When you said a few months ago, oh, I'll just be once in a while, you know, for like 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, well, it would be kind of once every couple of days for 20 minutes, or once a week for an hour plus. What? You find enough time for the Flash and the Arrow?
Yes. They are cool.
Oh, I'm not cool enough. Is that it?
You just have to work on the chest and the shoulders there a little.
What?
And you have to be, you have to lose that hoodie.
What's wrong with the hoodie?
Well, I don't know.
What's wrong with the hoodie?
The arrow.
I've seen those cool characters wear hoodies before.
Yeah, well, the green hood. Where's a hood? But
What? You
he
what?
also,
The green? That's not a character.
it's not a
The
character.
green hood.
Yeah, well, but people don't call him Green Arrow. People call him the Hood.
Why do people call him the hood?
Because he walks around in a funky hood.
What's wrong with my hoodie then? I don't get
Yes,
it.
but he also trains half naked about half of the movie.
Oh, so you're just like watching a half-naked guy half the time.
Yes. So you're not half naked enough.
I bet you he doesn't live in the north of Scotland,
No, he doesn't.
where if you did that, you just have permanent bullet nipples, because they'd be so frozen.
Yeah. He lives in the Sterling City or whatever. I don't know. Will would be able to tell you where he lives.
What? You watch it?
I don't pay attention to detail.
Oh, you just look at the pictures. Oh, I love his chest. I wish he would stick it out more.
He does those things where he's pulling himself up on the bar and then he hops onto the other one.
What?
Or he pulls himself up on the bar and then he hops up with it.
You're not talking about a drinking bar.
No, a pull-up bar.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He hops from bar to bar.
Well, he only has one bar, but he's got like a ladder, but the ladder doesn't have the bars. It only has like notches, and then he hops from the lower notch to the higher notch with the bar.
And how is this part of the program? How is this part of the series? How is this part of the story? Or is it just like...
It's just, look at me, I'm half naked and I'm exercising and I can do really cool things.
Is that really cool?
Well, kinda is.
I would have thought that would be a pointless activity.
Well, it's kinda hard to do, you know, so it's like a neat trick.
Yeah, well, so is juggling cactuses.
Can you do that?
No,
Oh.
but
You see?
but that doesn't make it cool.
That's the thing. You have to do something.
So while I'm like sorting out my emails, you're watching half-naked men do pull-ups or chin-ups or
Yeah.
whatever the fuck they call it.
Yeah. Well, I'm watching them with half an eye. Because I've got another half an eye on my computer screen, usually trying to give a little bit of my focus to my work.
And
doesn't-
just a little bit.
Doesn't always work.
No, apparently not. Apparently not.
Yeah. I'm worried that if I multitask like that, I may write weird things into the bits where I'm supposed to write the translation.
What, like the instruction manuals will say, and turn the left knob to the right chin-up section,
Yes.
or
Yes.
weirdness.
Twist the nipples to the right. Or something like that.
Darling, I can't find the nipples.
Done that before, you know. Well, not with nipples, but with
What?
other things.
What?
Well, I was working on a translation. It was so big. Then I had to work a lot at night, and started falling asleep. And I wrote something completely unrelated that I was just dreaming about
What, just like a short story? Or
into the
something?
translation. No, I translated some IT stuff, like I just wrote completely unrelated things. Like,
But IT is mind-numbing.
yeah, I know. It was terrible. It was like, ugh. It was soul sucking.
Do you remember that Chinese lantern that we had, and the instructions on it?
Yeah. Yeah.
They were so bizarre. I can't even remember how bizarre they were.
That was just really bad.
Examples.
That was just really bad. Chinglish or whatever it was. Chinglish translated into Slovak.
You can't even create examples like that.
Mhm.
Um,
Don't try.
what was the one that Will liked
Oh no.
about cooking?
No.
The bad menu?
No.
No, you're not going to say it, are you?
I'm not gonna say it because somebody here complained last time that I used words that are not appropriate.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I take that back. I'm sorry. I apologize. Feel free to use as much inappropriate language as you feel is appropriate. It couldn't be any worse than the language that was in the panto yesterday.
Yeah. The panto was okay. It wasn't the best panto ever. It was okay.
The number of masturbation jokes in the first half
No.
of a children's presentation. Like if that was on the BBC, everybody would have been fired.
Well, they have to make it funny for the adults as well, I suppose.
Oh, come on, kiddies, let's cheer him tossing his caber.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, what? What?
I hear you're a bit of a tosser.
That's so inappropriate for children. That's so completely... I think they got carried away with their jokes. I spoke to one of the ushers outside,
Uh-huh.
and they were like, yeah, but it's all innuendo. And I was like, no, it's not an indirect suggestion.
When you call somebody a tosser.
Yeah, I was like, that's not innuendo. So... I wonder about that.
Oh well, that's not worse than you just talking in real life, you know.
Yeah, but I'm not doing a stage presentation, am
That's
I?
true.
To children, so it is much worse. in that respect. So I was talking to this usher outside the theatre, and I was asking them like, is it popular? Are a lot of people coming to the performance? You know,
Mhm.
what's it like this year? And you know, like, is there a lot of kids? And she said, well, it's more adults than kids that come. Seriously, she said
Uh-huh.
it's more adults than kids that come to the pantomime.
All right. That's really weird.
Yeah, I know. And it's because it is for kids. It's presented for
Yes,
kids.
it
It's
is. Uh-huh.
designed for kids.
Uh-huh.
And you know, I made that rather sort of against the traditions of society comment yesterday, where I thought that half the people in the theatre had some kind of problem or learning
Disability, you mean?
difficulty or disability, because they didn't seem to be able to either A, communicate properly, or B, look semi-normal. And I don't mean that in the sense
I
that
wouldn't. Yeah, I
I
wouldn't
don't mean
say.
that in a bad way. I just
wou-
mean you can
I
look at
under-
someone and see that's a healthy person, and you can look at someone, and I don't know. Maybe they just, maybe they took all the kids from the hospital to the theater that day. I don't know, right?
Well,
Um,
can I just
it,
point out something? I don't think that's a good idea to call that or to class that with learning disabilities, because you've got a learning disability and you don't look unhealthy.
well, that's the
you
whole
know?
the whole point
That's what I'm
of
trying to say.
yeah.
Oh, he
Well, people
looked like
people are
he had
scared
a
to
learning
people are scared to use
disability.
words. People are scared to use language. They need to fucking get over it. They need to grow up and get over it. I mean, it's like, oh, you can't say these words. You can't say that language. You can't use that terminology. Fuck it. If someone doesn't realize, and we've had the conversation before, if someone doesn't realize when I say that that X is X, that I don't mean like all and every single part of it, right? I mean, you've got to break it down a little bit, but at least look. I was stuck in a box in the theater next to three people with learning difficulties. And I feel like I'm sorry for them. I'd like to help them. It's a terrible situation that they're in. I'm happy that they get out and they get to the theater. I think
That's
it's
what
wonderful that people are helping them. But I had to listen to three people make animal noises for half an hour.
my point is. Okay, well, first of all, they have the right to be there just like anybody else, okay? And
No,
when you get there, when you go, I mean, there was a woman.
that's an incomplete statement.
There was a woman on
They have
the.
the right to be there and respect the other people that are there.
Can you let me finish talking? You had a woman on the other side that had a little baby that were making a lot of noise as well because it was crying in various points in time. So, you could say, oh well, people shouldn't come with toddlers because toddlers make a lot of noise.
I'm not making that argument, though.
So, I am.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that people shouldn't come with young children to the theater.
I am.
What
I
I'm saying
am.
is, I don't appreciate the fact that somebody pays for a ticket to go to the theater, and they have to sit next to three people making animal noises. I don't think that's right.
And my second point was, I don't think that the people that were sitting next to you had learning disabilities. I think they had a mental. Well, I don't think they had learning difficulties, as you called it. I think they had mental disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had a cerebral palsy or something in that area.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they had. I know that the people in the theatre could have put them in a box further away from other people, so it would have been less disturbing making animal noises. But because I don't appreciate that, and I don't expect when a ticket is bought to sit in a professional place to watch a professional performance, I do not expect to have to deal with unprofessional people. And I think that these people should be in the theatre. I think that they should be watching something, but I don't think that I should have to be disturbed by it, because I think it's the wrong place and the wrong time for it.
So what do you suggest? Should they have like a special separated box labeled box for
people who could disrupt
disabled people, or
no, for people who could disrupt other people, they should be kept a little bit further away as a sign of respect. The same way that it would be anywhere else, in a cinema, in I don't know.
They don't do that anywhere. That's horrible.
Well, why should someone who's paid for a ticket have to sit next to people who make animal noises in a
Get
theatre?
fucking over it, because you don't know who you're going to sit next to. You could sit next to a group
What
of
about
guys
respecting?
who are going to be half drunk and shouting inappropriate things. You could sit next to.
And I would get up and I would say, a theatre is not an appropriate place to be getting drunk and speaking loud. You're here for the performance, and if I had a problem with that, I'd take one of them fucking out.
Or you could sit next to a bunch of kids that keep playing with the wrappers of their god knows what they're eating. I mean, I was sitting there, and I was being disturbed much more.
Well, you were on the other side. You
But
weren't sitting.
all
I
the
was.
people,
I was.
Can
I
you
was.
speak,
I was.
please?
I was
I
30
said
centimeters away from
the
this
second half of performance. I sat on your side with the girls.
person.
I was disturbed much more by the people who were eating crisps or whatever, and they wouldn't stop making noises with their crisp packets.
Yes,
They
that
were
was
making
annoying as
noises
well.
with the crisp
Yes,
packets
yes,
all the time, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
I
that was all
know
through
that
the
when
first part
I'm
as
in the
well.
place where there's another 300 people, right? I'm going to get disturbed, for fuck's sake. I mean, what the fuck do you expect? You're at the kids' performance.
wait a
where
minute,
You're
there's
supposed
limits.
to make a lot of noise.
No, you're
They
not.
were
You're
waiting
not
for
supposed to make as much noise
white
as you're not. You're not
sticks
supposed
and
to
shit.
make loud animal noises, and it's. You can go further than loud animal noises and say that they wouldn't sit still. They were permanently either fidgeting or rocking violently backwards and forwards. Which one of
So
them was
what?
doing.
Well, what was your daughter doing? Well, after she left, she's jumping from one seat to the other because she needed to pee, but she wouldn't go to the toilet.
Yeah, but she was also in a box away from other people and at the back, so there was some
So was the
respect.
guy sitting next to you. He
No.
was in the box in the back, away from the other people that were in the middle of the theater.
Look, you can't use other people's bad activities as
It's not a bad activity, for fuck's sake. It's a way of existing for the kid.
they're not. Okay, so I think the conversation is distracted away from the fact that I don't think that that these. I think that perhaps the people who were taking care of these people should have had the sense to keep them a little bit, to put a little bit of distance between them and other people, to respect the other people, which they absolutely didn't do. And I'm not saying I want to think that these people don't exist. I'm saying I want to enjoy the performance. So that was disturbing. The people with crisp bags was disturbing. Yeah. Don't wrap the cable of the mic up
Why?
like that.
What exactly is it going to do to that cable if I do that?
Well, if you keep doing things with it, that doesn't matter. It's just the wrong thing to do.
Just pisses you off, okay, I get it.
No, it's. I have enough technical problems as it is, without listening back to something and finding that that there are problems because somebody was playing with the cable halfway through and pulled something out or did something weird. Anyway, I just think that there were people with sweetie wrappers, and there were babies crying, and there were people with those fucking lightsabers waving them in the air.
But it was that kind of performance, G. I mean, if you came 3 days later to watch the ballet, I can assure you that it would be much more professional, to put it in your words. Meaning there would be much more
look, if you
quiet
compare
people in suits.
if you compare a Trabant to a Ferrari,
rambunctious.
you're obviously going to point out just the plain, simple, obvious things.
Well,
Yes.
there you go. It was just a. Look, okay.
I'm not saying it's the fucking ballet, for God's sake. All I'm
Was
saying is that people need to respect each other more, and there was
yes,
there
but
was
that
less
goes
respect than
both
should have been.
ways.
What?
That goes both ways, though. You know, that goes both ways. I mean,
Yeah, and then, like, I'm not arguing that it doesn't go both ways. I'm arguing that there needs to be a certain level of respect at the beginning.
I don't know. I was sitting there and I was thinking, okay, is this annoying and slightly disturbing? Yes, it is. And then I thought about it, and then I thought, okay, if I was a parent of this child, I would want, well, child, that was more of a young adult. I would want this young
I thought they were
adult to
adults,
have
to
the
be honest.
option to go out and sit and enjoy a performance like this if they like it, and I wouldn't want to, keep them. What's the word? Not separated, but isolated. And I mean, it must be isolating enough as it is, you know. So when I thought about it like that, I just thought, well, it's a nice thing that they have the opportunity to come here and enjoy this just like all the other kids are enjoying it, because they're just kids inside. So it's just that the noises that they're making are louder and more deeper set.
Well, there is more to it than that. I'm not saying this is a negative thing, but it's not that they're just the same as other kids. I mean, it's not that. It's not that the noises they're making are the same, because other kids are, in general, reacting to what they're seeing on the stage, but these people are not, because they're making the noises constantly, whether they're asked to or not. So it's not
I think
exactly
it
the
was a
same.
reaction to what was happening on the stage. It was very.
I'm not sure that they could comprehend everything that was happening on the stage, although I
you
don't
don't
have enough
know.
information to. That's just an observation. It could be wrong. I'd have to talk to the people
Yeah,
more.
just because people can't express themselves doesn't mean that they don't understand what's going on.
Well, like I said earlier, I mean, it's crazy that most of the people going to the pantomime for kids were adults,
Like I understand.
according to the people working there.
I understand that it was disturbing to a certain level, because it was, but at the same time, I think it's a good thing, and I can fucking suck it up and enjoy the theater for them as well, because the more it's enjoyed by more people, the better it is for general good. So there you go. And I think
I'm not sure that I agree with that statement.
and I think that it's good for the kids, as well. You know, to see challenged people joining in normal life activities.
Yeah, of course, naturally, yeah. Yeah, it's much better than it was in the past, right? You don't want to lock these people away in a fucking sanatorium, or keep them completely out of the public eye, because people then forget that people with less advantages exist.
That was how it was done in socialism in Slovakia. They were just kept underground, and not literally, but obviously not literally. But, to the extent where nothing would be made accessible for them. You know what I mean? Like now you have the laws that everything has to have a lift or a little platform that can get you to
A
places.
ramp.
Or a ramp, yeah. In Slovakia, it's like all the doors narrow, and there's a lot of stairs everywhere. And do you know when I noticed that?
Well, they have to have the they have to have the automatic doors now, because half the people don't know how to open a fucking door.
And do you know how I noticed that?
Noticed what?
That the world in Slovakia, the world is not friendly when you've got wheels.
Pushing kids around in a pram.
Yes, when I had to push wheel around everywhere, and I couldn't get to, say, 3/4 of the places, including offices. and stuff.
Yeah, well,
Even
that's because they were designed by men who had no fucking clue what they were doing.
even offices that were supposed to be, because by law you have to have the lifts and the wee platforms that you get onto, and you press 7 buttons and talk to 2 people, and the platform will get you up the stairs, right?
That sounds fun.
But I couldn't use it because I was not in a wheelchair. So I'm like, okay, so how am I
Could
supposed
you not
to?
pretend?
How am I supposed to get up these 50 stairs here to get into the tax office? And people were like,
How do you even get up that shit in a wheelchair anyway? I mean, it must be impossible.
and
must have,
I'm like,
muscles like
aren't you
Hercules."
supposed to be like made accessible for wheelie people?
For
Oh
what
yes, wheelie people.
You're calling disabled people wheelie people.
And there were people, and I would be talking to this SBS guy, and he'd be like,
Is
yeah.
that security guy?
Mm-hmm. He'd be like, yeah, we are accessible for wheelie people. Look, there's a platform, and if you ask, I've got a key, and you can use it when you're on wheels, but you're not on wheels, you just have a pram, so you just have to fucking, tighten up your butt cheeks and pick up the fucking pram and walk up the 50 stairs.
These people are lucky they don't get stabbed.
And I'm like, hey, excuse me, could you please help me with it? Yeah, okay, sure. They were quite happy to help, but still, you shouldn't have to carry fucking prams up and down stairs in the 21st century. Right? You should have at least a ramp. Not asking for much. If you ask for at least a ramp.
Yeah, well, as you pointed out, these buildings were built in socialism.
Yeah.
And in socialism, everybody was the standard. And there was no deviation.
Not just that, in socialism, everybody had to be what do you call it?
I don't know.
Exemplar.
Everybody had to be exemplary.
Yes, everybody had to be strong and able and
Fit.
and
Uber.
and the perfect model of a perfect person in society, because we were a perfect society.
Because everybody wore the same clothes and used the same toothbrush and watched the same TV.
They were creating an idealized picture of an idealized society. So disabled people had to be hidden away because they were not ideal enough for the society. That Venus is pretty strong this morning out there. It's
You're right.
kind of shining into my eye.
What? You've
through
been
the
blinded
window.
by Venus?
Yeah. It's a bit cloudy though,
That's
because
not
it
normal.
disappears.
I think you might have a disability there.
It definitely disappears.
I can't see it. Where is it? I can't see it at all.
There. It's because you're on the wrong side.
I can't.
No, you can't. You would have to.
You're developing a Scottish accent.
No, I'm
You know
not.
that? Yeah, sure. You just said, you're on the wrong side.
You're on the wrong side.
You're driving on the wrong side, Murray. Slow down.
Oh no, you're not.
Slow down. You're going too fast, Murray. Look, Murray. There you go. Murray, focus. Stop listening to me, Murray.
Stop it.
Eyes on the road.
Stop it.
Perhaps you'd like another bacon sandwich.
Shut up.
Oh.
They had that fairy in the performance yesterday.
Fairy godmother with Scottish accents.
That was dressed up as the
farming woman.
The farming woman, yeah, buying the cow, and that was so funny because I couldn't understand a word.
No, first of all, she mixed the accents up horribly, but it was comedy anyway. So she started off with like a Yorkshire farming accent,
all right,
and then she drifted into a broad Scottish accent. Then she spoke in normal English, and it was all over the place. But
it was funny, and it still did the job because I couldn't understand any of it. It was funny though.
It was. Well, I always find it interesting how the Scottish people respond to the Scottishness of things.
I know.
Yeah, so There's, oh, you help me with this wee song, kiddies. Whereas, if you tried that anywhere else, you get shot, right?
That everybody would think you're a pirate.
Oh well, bloody dressing up and doing whatever it is that they were doing. I sort of had a little look at the program, not I had a glance through it, yeah, from the theatre, and I saw that the man who was dressing up as a woman was also the writer and director of the pantomime.
Oh, I hate the man dressed up as a woman.
And I actually thought the direction was terrible. The writing was awful, and their acting was ridiculous. And
I thought the acting was actually okay.
For
what it was.
Yes, for what it was. They are not without talent, definitely. Okay, they're definitely not without talent. But I just thought the quality was really bad. I don't know. Maybe it was just that performance on that day and that delivery. Because like when you got an afternoon performance, you tend to put less energy in than an evening performance, right?
I don't know.
In the theatre, just because it's the first of two performances during the day, and you can't put your all in because you're gonna be tired for the next performance. And I think you give like maybe say 80% if you're doing like a midday performance, and maybe 95% if you're doing an evening performance, and you have two performances in one day. Because it's like being a singer, right? You don't want to.
I don't know. I'm not a singer.
Well, I'm going to explain it. Okay.
Okay.
You don't sing yourself out on the first song, right?
Mm-hmm.
You pace yourself for the songs, so you don't put your all in, right? And so when you've got more performances in one day, I think that you naturally hold back a little. There were also missed cues as well.
Missed cues?
In the first act. Yeah, there were people who didn't hit their cues right for their lines, and they had to be prompted. Which
I think it just adds to the comedy. Like
well,
when the
comedy,
guy forgot that he was supposed to be in front of the stage rather than the back of the stage, and then he had to roll under the curtain. I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, and there was also just after that point the bad character had to remind the good character of what he was supposed to say next because he forgot.
Oh, that happens all the time, though.
He was like, "You should say something about money, shouldn't you?" And he's like, "Oh, right."
I missed that.
So that was kind of interesting.
Oh, I like when that happens.
The live element always provides an extra sort of depth to things.
Yeah, it provides a different. Yeah, I like it when you get woken up from the illusion. You know.
Excuse me.
Well, it's like when people in the theatre lose the track or do something wrong or whatever. It kind of jerks you out of the story and into the this is a reality live, show going on where things are gonna go hayward, sideways.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. Anyway, I thought it was worse than Jack and the Beanstalk. Not Jack and the Beanstalk. It was Jack and the Beanstalk. I thought it was worse than the Dick Whittington last year. But
yeah, that would be 2 years ago, I think. But
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, I thought Dick Whittington was much better. There was a better lead character in the Dick Whittington. I don't know. Like I said, I think that there was less of a lead as well in it because all the characters had their sort of equal parts. And
yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's what I noticed at the end when they came to do their, bending. What you call it? Their bows. When they came to do the bending, they I thought about it and I thought, the lead characters weren't really that strong. They were kind of blend in with the rest.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just don't like the whole notion of the the classic joke of the big hunky man dressing up as a woman. It's just like it's stupid. I know it's a traditional part of pantomime, right? But it's just like, ugh, I don't like it.
The fact that people get paid to do that is just bizarre, in my opinion. But I guess that's the theatre. I'll tell you what was good. I mean, I'm sort of being hypercritical, but I think I have, I think that they are relevant criticisms. But I'll tell you what was good. The stage design was really good.
Oh yes, that was awesome, and the costumes were great.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff was really cool. 'Cause
That was awesome.
It always helps when you've got sort of nice scenery and
yeah, that was
decor
really well done. And then
around.
the beanstalk growing was
Yeah,
that was great. I thought they did that really well.
and the glowing skeleton
Yeah,
dancing,
that was really cool.
kind of Halloweenish sort of style there.
Jasmine loved it.
Yeah.
Zora enjoyed it. And Will was just pissing himself laughing because he was getting half of the adult jokes.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Good for them. Definitely good for them.
I think it was good for them. Yeah.
I'd had enough by half time though.
Yeah, it was kind of loud and loud and and at the end they had a big boom that that Jasmine loved the most. I asked her, what did you like the most? And she said the big boom. The big boom was at the end after everything was finished. They had like a streamer thing, and they made a big boom, and there were very long streamers just hanging in the air for a fracture of a second, and everything was colorful, and they fell down real slow, and everything was just really nice. They loved it. They were all like, "Oh!"
Wow. But it was fun cleaning up that mess.
Oh no shit.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, it's all there. It's all done. It's all nice. It's all on the doorstep if you're living in the city up there in the north. And it's always interesting the differences living out in the middle of nowhere where you have to drive for an hour to
Get anywhere.
to get anywhere at all.
Yeah.
And if you're just like living in the city there where you can pop to any shop and pick up anything and
Go to the theater.
and because there's more people there, there's more choices and more options, as I've been looking on the digital platforms, the eBay and the marketplaces and
They have everything in Inverness.
yeah,
I found a heavy bag for £27 yesterday in Inverness with the wall bracket.
Yeah, it's like if you live there, there's so many people with so much stuff
Uh-huh.
that you can't not get what you want because
Yeah.
someone's bound to have something.
Oh, it's the dilemma, isn't it?
Whereas if you live here, right, like I'm trying to sort out technical stuff, yeah. If you live here, there's one shop in 200 kilometers that sells stuff. Right, you can order stuff on the internet for sure, but it's a little bit more expensive on the internet, and it's getting delivered to you, so maybe you're saving money on that expense, and it's kind of cool, and there's a great variety, but you sort of still don't know what you're getting, and it still affects you, where you live, because again, I was looking at that's a lot of stuff that's for sale sort of in England and around English towns, and it's all cheap, and it's like you can, but you have to go and pick it up and stuff, and it's like up here, it's like, no, I kind of need stuff kind of sent.
Well, there's pros and cons, isn't it? I mean, we were at that farm the other day, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is so good for the kids. They just get out and they've got a farm, right?
They've got a farm and they've got big woolly sheep.
They get outside and they've got a farm there where they can.
Those sheep look like they came out of a fairy tale.
Which ones? Oh, the ones at the little farm.
Yeah.
The miniature farm. They were so cute and fluffy. I just couldn't get over how cute everything was. It was like a cuteness overload.
How do you make sheep cute?
I don't know. They were so cute. I've never seen anything that fluffy in my life.
Oh, they looked friendly as well. They were
friendly, and they were super fluffy, and they were fat like hags. And
fat like what?
Hags.
What the fuck's a hex?
A hag. A hag is like a hell. Only it's when you don't want to say hell, you say hag.
Oh, like saying they're fat as fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Carolyn was her name.
Yes.
Talked to Teresa was her name, I think.
I don't know the name of the other one.
And she's like, oh my, they're quite chubby, and the Teresa said, well, there's nothing I can do with that, other than not feed them, and I'm not going to do that. So, but they were just so cute. Oh my god! And the miniature goats and the.
How'd you get miniature goats and donkeys and things? How do those things even exist?
I don't know. And the million chickens she had, and everything was just so cute. I thought that was such a cool thing, because she was basically keeping a farm just as a playful of big pets place.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that must be expensive.
Just as big pets, and that's what I was thinking. She was obviously retired, right? I think. Well, that was what it looked like to me, that she was retired and just keeping them as friends or whatever. And I just thought that was just so nice. And as she said, the gate is open in the summer. Whoever wants can just come and pet the animals and so on and so forth. And I just think that's such a nice thing. Don't you think? Keep a bunch of animals as friends and let everybody else
pets
get the.
Not friends.
Well, yes.
Bunch of animals as friends.
Well, I think it's both. Well, why do people keep pets? They keep pets to have
they
friends.
Can't communicate with normal people, maybe.
No, I don't think so. Because they like animals, I suppose.
They think they like animals.
It just seemed to me like a purely nice thing to do. It's like it's different to have a farm and get the benefit of having a farm out of it, and use it as a way of living. And there's nothing wrong with that, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But just taking care of a bunch
Did those Highland cows belong to her as well?
Yes.
Jesus, how the fuck do you keep a Highland cow? That must be expensive.
Yeah, I know. But
they're a protected species as well, or something.
Are they? I don't know.
Because there's not that many of them.
Uh-huh.
They're pretty rare.
Well, maybe that's the point as well,
So pretty big and pretty...
I just find it nice. I just find it nice when people take care of animals. I just think it's one of those...
Well, I was also thinking
nice
it
things.
Must be a lot of work around the garden to tidy up and clean up after the animals and make everything neat and organised. It's a full-time job.
The whole place looked very neat and organised, didn't it? So she must be walking around picking up a lot of poop all day.
yeah, I was thinking about that as well.
Mm.
Unless they train the animals to go to the toilet or something.
You think she's got a donkey toilet around the back or something?
Donkey toilet.
The donkeys were so nice.
I'm not quite sure what a donkey toilet would look like, but
yeah.
They were, and I couldn't go in. I was stuck outside freezing to death because it's funny because I said to the woman, "Are you coming in?" I'm like, "Well, I kind of have these allergies to animal hair, and I can't really spend time with the animals and stuff." And she's like, "Oh, my daughter's the same."
Yeah, she told us about it. She said her daughter is allergic to donkeys, and she said she wasn't always, but one day she just started having health problems, and they found out
because
that it's from the donkeys.
They fucking jacked her up on vaccinations, which causes an autoimmune response to normal shit.
Which you don't know, but you assume. And
Well, I'm just saying that that's what's happened to X many people that I know.
yes,
So therefore, it
you
seems
assume.
it
Well, look,
seems a
Monica's
reasonable conclusion.
Monica's daughter's got about a ton of allergies, including atopic eczema, whatever you
Yeah,
call it.
and has she
And
been vaccinated?
she hasn't had one vaccination in her life. Okay, and they're eating extremely healthy,
Hmm.
and she still has autoimmune diseases, so it's not the answer to all and everything, you know.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. I haven't heard of that before, but
I need to pop out for a second. You can pause it if you want. You can keep talking.
talk to myself. I can't talk to myself. I've got nothing to say to myself. I know everything that I want to say. I'm going to pause it. I'm not going to talk to myself. The voices are all in your head. Or in your bed, perhaps. It's very dark outside. Right. Where's the pause button? Are you back?
I am.
Are you cold?
Guess who's back? Yes, I am. Of course,
Back
I'm fucking.
again.
Oh, I'm cold.
Do you think that there would be some logic in the assumption that a cold person lives in a cold house?
I think there would be some logic in having a smaller freaking house. You know?
Okay, no, see, no. I was just thinking about how environment reflects personality and vice versa. Yeah, and I was thinking that because when I got up this morning, obviously everything was cold, and I was thinking that the coldness of human character might reflect the wish for the environment to be the same as well, because there's just something about, like, you don't feel cold in an environment where you're surrounded by warm characters.
Well, you can.
Oh,
You're in a cold environment.
You can in extreme circumstances, but what I'm saying is that warm people make the environment warm. It's part of their nature, and I'm not saying that it. I'm not saying that it happens naturally. I'm saying they make it that way.
So would you say that I am a warm character? Because we're living in this house now as well, you know?
Yes, but it's not our house, so therefore that rule doesn't really apply to
No,
us.
I think, first of all, your mother has lived here forever and ever and ever and ever.
Amen.
Therefore, she is used to this kind of environment, temperature type thing. Secondly, I don't have a secondly.
You don't have a second. It's not really much of an argument, is it?
I don't have a secondly. No, I mean she's obviously used to it because she's been living in this country for 75 years. We've only just arrived, basically. So I guess we're not acclimatized yet.
Can you acclimatise to this climate?
I think you can. I think you can, because remember last year, remember when you came to visit, when we were here for 6 months, me and the kids, and you came to visit, like, in the middle of it, and you were walking around the house, and you were like, I'm freezing, are you not cold? And I was like, I'm okay. You know, we were kind of partially acclimatized to it already, so I think you can kind of acclimatize to that. And what I don't get is saying, you know, I've got a cold house because it's hell to heat it. Why do you keep a house that's a hell to heat? You know.
Well, why do you change the heating system, and then complain about the heating?
No, that's not. It's one of those things. It's like, well, our house is a hell to heat. Well, then freaking change the house.
Well, that's because they've set up a system, which means they can't heat it the way that they used to heat it originally, and I don't think that they've saved money. I think they've saved.
No, they haven't saved money, but it was never about saving money.
I think
It was
what they
about
tried to do.
convenience.
Yeah, they tried to make it easier, but in trying to make it easier, they lost something.
Yes, they have. Of course they have. I mean, you always lose something when you try to make things easier. In every situation, it's a trade. It's a trade of whatever is good for the convenience. It's good. The same thing with food, right? If you pick up processed food because it's easier, you're losing the nutrition. It's the same thing with everything, really. So they decided
I kind of want to disagree with that it's what was it you said, that it's you always lose something when you make things easier.
When you choose the easier option, yeah.
Well, what about making cars more comfortable? Is that
Well,
bad?
you lose something. You lose something because
What do you lose in making things more comfortable for people?
well, in modern cars, in
What?
modern
They're called cars.
in modern cars, yes, they are more convenient because one thing, why reason why they're more convenient is thanks to the complex electronics system, for example. That makes them safer and more convenient to use, but at the same time, what you lose is the opportunity and possibility to localize and fix a problem, either by yourself or by your friend, or you know how it worked in the past. Everybody was a mechanic and everybody could fix their bloody car because they couldn't open up the engine and figure out easily where the problem was and fix the problem.
And there were so many accidents on the road because people thought they knew what they were doing with the car, but really they.
Oh, I don't
They
think there were
weren't.
any more accidents than there are now.
I think there
gee.
were a lot more.
Yeah, how do you have that supported? Did you study the statistics?
Well, that's
no.
no, I haven't studied the statistics, but what I'm using is sense and awareness.
What you're
right?
using is assumption.
No,
And
no,
it's always a
no,
mistake.
no, because the people who were working on the cars were not professionals. They were amateurs. And what happens when you have amateurs playing about with big machines is that they think they know what they're doing, or they take the car to Uncle John who fucks around with it and says, that's fixed, that's repaired. And it's repaired until some important part fucking falls off when you're driving 70 miles per hour down the road and fucking kills you. And that's the reason why the government brought in all these regulations. The government brought in all these regulations to have MOT standardized tests, because there were so many pieces of junk driving around on the road causing so many accidents and so many problems
I'm
for
not
people.
arguing against MOT standardized tests at all.
No, and what I'm arguing is the extension of that is all of these controls where you need a professional mechanic to fix your car.
Has nothing to do with
Because
it. I'm all
yes,
for MOT standardized testing.
Look,
I'm just saying that by bringing the convenience of an electronic system,
What
you made
happens-
everything much more complex. And
what happens
I'm-
when you try to kind of generally fix most anything by yourself, right? It doesn't work. Yeah?
no, that happens with you, G.
No, that's
Not with
that's not true.
everybody else.
Unless you bring in a professional to do something, yeah, you're going to have a job that's done with less quality. The average person does not have enough time to have the specific skills and knowledge to be able to do the general things that need to be done around a house, such as fix the electrics, fix the water systems,
Gee,
fix insulation and
gee,
windows
people
and doors and
usually know these things, just like your
They
dad
don't.
knows these things.
No, they know a bit.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not they're not experts in it, and they don't know how to do it properly. And technology is always improving and making things easier for people, and they're not up to date with that, and their thinking is stuck in the past. They're not aware of the best options for things, and that's why you need to bring in no, it's not. You need to bring in experts to do things. Otherwise you don't get anything done. The compartmentalization of society was designed to create experts who knew specifically how certain problems should be fixed.
That's great, but some things can be done by just normal people with common sense.
They can. Look, most, at least 9 out of 10 people can't fix their own computer if it breaks down. Right?
Look, my mother and me, we built a pantry. We built a pantry with bricks and mortar.
Could you do it now?
Right. Yes.
Could you do it now?
Yes, sure I could. You give me a fucking level and a bag of cement, I can build you a fucking pantry. It's not freaking rocket science.
Yeah, but could you build it to safe standards? Could you build it with the electrics, with the plumbing, with the insulation, with all the things?
No, I couldn't do it with the electrics.
It would be shit.
But we built a freaking pantry. We put a roof on it. Yeah. I was sitting on the roof at the age 14. No, I wasn't 14. I was 17. I was sitting on the roof at the age
That's a big difference.
At the age of 17. Well, yeah, but my sister was 13 and she was helping. And we were. Do you know what we were doing? We were hammering down the shingles on the roof. Right. And that was fun. It took us about 3 days to shingle the entire roof.
What the fuck is a shingle?
Shingle. I don't know if. I actually don't know if that's a real word in English language. Did you just make it up? I may have. It may be a Slovak English type thing, but it's not a tile, yeah, because the roof didn't have tiles. It had it's like a lower level of a tile. It's hard to explain. It's not plastic. It's made of tar, I think. I'm not sure what it's made of.
It's like the rubber tiles.
Yeah, something like that. And it's not rubber. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but it's not going to be, the end result's not going to be quality. It's be like asking your neighbour to build a computer for you, right? I mean, you'd probably end up with something which didn't work most of the time.
Well, you don't know because you don't know what your neighbour's skills are. Maybe he's really good at that. Maybe it's his hobby.
No, you're talking about exceptions to the rule. You can always go out and find an exception to the rule. I'm talking about the majority of society. The majority of society can't do anything except that which they are specifically trained to do. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think you're judging most of society by your own.
No, I'm judging most of society by experience in life, realizing that most the independent people who I've seen build independent things always end up with a lower standard and a lower level of quality than the specialized people.
Look, just like a majority,
almost always.
Just like a majority,
exceptions here and there,
just like a majority of men can fix a lamp and fix a tap and fix a leaking sink. Majority of men in the past could fix basic problems with the car, but now they can't because they can't even get the engine freaking open. That's my point. Okay, of course they wouldn't be fixing.
Yes, that's for safety. That's for safety.
Oh God.
That's for safety. That's helping them. That's saving lives, for God's sake. You can't say that that's not important. I'm
not going to agree with this.
So the alternative would be death in some cases, which would be fine.
No, because you're not going to die if you change a fucking light bulb.
I'm talking about cars, not fucking light bulbs.
I know.
And there's a difference between changing a fucking light bulb and setting up an electric system. So don't simplip it into something that's not important.
Changing and fixing simple things in the engines. I think you're making it up to be much more complex than it actually was.
No, I'm not. You're talking about the simplest activities that you could find. I'm talking about the normal processes of things.
Yes, but But look, nobody would know how to do those things properly these days because they have nowhere to learn. But back then, when the cars were open up and the engines could, you could open up the engine and learn how to fix it and learn how to do these things properly. Well, no, you can't. I mean, it's like arguing that what was the first, the chicken or the egg, right?
What? I'm talking about cars, not chickens.
Just because
You don't open up a chicken and see if the egg's okay.
you could. I saw a neat picture the other day of a.
What?
I saw a neat picture the other day. It was it was on the homeschooling page, and you also always get interesting things on the homeschooling page on Facebook. And
So homeschoolers are nuts.
yeah, and one of these people like shared a photograph of their kid dissecting an eyeball or something, and
Hopefully not their own.
no, and then you had like two camps forming, right? You had the vegans, you had the vegans camp who got offended, and they were like, "Oh, hey, you shouldn't post these pictures right in the post. You should put them in the comment because when people are scrolling down, they're going to see them, and sensitive people might have might I don't know,
You know what I think?
palpitations or whatever."
Fuck sensitive people. That's what I think.
And the other group was like, but this is a homeschooling page and this is an educational thing. So if you have a problem, just scroll on. You don't have to click it and engage.
People are getting
'cause this is
offended by other people's shit. They should
This
just
is
fuck
an
off.
educational activity, right? And one of these commentees posted a picture. She was like, "Well, we feed our dogs like mainly raw food or whatever, and this was a part of what we got for them because they got their raw meat and stuff from the butchers and directly from farms and shit." And she posted a chicken cut in half, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you had a perfect cross section of a chicken,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and you could see different stages of egg formation inside the chicken.
How do you perfectly cut a chicken in half?
I don't know. That's why I asked.
Isn't that really difficult?
I was like, you must have a really sharp knife to do that,
You need a fucking laser to do that.
That was exactly my first reaction. I was like, how did you get to do that, or whatever, or whoever was cutting the chicken in half? How did they manage? But
Where'd you learn to do that?
anyway, the maybe with a lightsaber. The point was that you could see the different stages of egg formation, and the chicken at one point in time had like 3 eggs in it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it had like a big egg ready to be pooped out, and the smaller egg in front of it, and it had a tiny little like a egg bud completely in the front, and it was kind of disgusting but really fascinating at the same time. It's pretty cool. I don't know how we got to this topic.
You wanted
It
to
was
talk about...
it was slightly disturbing though, so I think the person may have posted it just to spite the vegans.
Yeah, which is... The vegans are kind of asking for it. Right?
Yeah,
'Cause
I know,
they'll be
I know,
hovering
right?
around on the page going, "Oh, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that," and you'd be like, how about this?
They were good. They were cool with vegans though. They were cool with it. You had vegans like saying, "Hey, I'm a vegan and this is okay."
Well, look, anyone telling you what you should or shouldn't do is, just giving an autobiographical presentation of
Yeah.
whatever it is that's going on anyway. So
It's the basic principle of protecting your boundaries, right? You can protect your boundaries without infringing on other people's right. By, for example, blocking the post.
Or
Hide it from seeing it on your wall.
why don't people just like turn off notifications?
Yes.
I mean that's what I think. If I'm doing something and people are posting on something which is either A, distracting, or B, annoying, I just turn off the notification so I can focus on whatever it is that I want to do or I need to do.
Oh,
and
that
I'm not
wasn't their problem.
distracted.
Their problem was they wanted to browse the homeschooling page, but their problem was that when they browsed the homeschooling page for tips and tricks and things,
How the fuck do they go to the supermarket, for
They
fuck's sake? How do they walk through the frozen
see-
food section?
they get to see this picture, and I'm like, But if it was in the comments, and if it was said in the post that it's in the comments and it might be disturbing to vegans, they wouldn't have opened it and looked at it.
Like I
That's
said on
just
the farm
ridiculous.
the other day, I sort of think that veganism is a not unnecessary modern lifestyle disease.
Not unnecessary.
Yes, it's a not unnecessary modern lifestyle disease.
How is it necessary?
Because people do it and it is healthier for them. Not everyone, but some groups of people do it and it is healthier and helpful to them in their lifestyle. Therefore, it is not unnecessary, right? But it is the result of a complex, advanced cultural problem where you can only do it if you have open access to exactly specific things that you need. Yeah, so you need access to the fruit, the vegetables, and everything else. Now, most of these people...
And you need access to vitamin B12 supplements.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So what you're doing is you're building your lifestyle on an advanced cultural system where you probably, not everybody, but most people who are vegans probably don't grow their own food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so as a result, they have to use systems created by other people, which they can
Just like
only
everybody
do
else.
in an advanced culture.
So do meat eaters, though.
Yeah, but we're talking about choices that people make. So in the past, it was a more practical option to eat meat because you got the energy that your body needed and could use for a period of time. Yeah, and you didn't know when the next meal was going to be. So it was far more practical. Yeah. But with veganism, what you have is a relatively sensible idea for some people. It's sensible for some people to do it, but you can only do it in an advanced culture because if you're living in the edge of nowhere, right, you kind of have other things on your mind, like survival, for
Look,
example.
it's also a good idea to point out, though, that in the past people didn't eat meat every day. They wouldn't have the money to eat meat every day. They would eat meat on Sunday.
You have the access
you know.
to it.
I mean, most of the time they would just be eating cabbage and cauliflower and sauerkraut, right?
Or
And,
you did make the stew or the goulash
well,
or the
everybody
soup
would.
from the carcasses and bones and stuff and whatever.
They also ate things like pig's trotters and pig's ears, and they could use
Tongue, for
yeah,
example.
they could use everything. They could use
Yeah.
each and every part of the animal to their advantage, and it was good. But my grandfather used to put, what do you call them? The like chicken feet. Do you have a special name for the chicken feet?
The feet of a chicken,
Yeah.
you mean?
Yeah.
Not like chicken's amazing abilities.
No. No, the feet of a chicken. The little in Slovakia you call them paprčky. He used to put paprčky in his soup, and then he would eat them. He would take them out, and I remember him eating them like when you eat a drumstick. He would just hold a paprčka like that, and he would just eat around it. And I also thought it was disgusting.
He used to eat chicken feet.
Yes, but he was like, "Oh, this is so good." He was like, "This is a delicacy, right?" So yeah, he ate around the chicken feet, and I'm thinking, people got so out of touch with reality. I think people wouldn't eat chicken feet these days just for the simple fact that it actually looks like what it is. Because people are quite happy about buying meat as a shapeless lump of pink stuff that they don't know where it comes from. Or well, they do, but they don't acknowledge it, or they're not aware of it when they're cooking it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They don't look at the lump and think, okay, this is this is the back part of the pig's ass, right? They buy it, look at it, and they think, okay, this is a red lump, and I'm going to change it into whatever, pork chops. So So that might be a part of it, that if people actually saw what they're eating in relation to the animal, they may think differently about it. So yeah, people weren't eating as much meat as they are now because it's so convenient to just go and get it. It's like when we bought half the pig, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
We bought half the pig, and of that half the pig, maybe a fifth of it was actual meat, if that much. Most stuff that we got from the pig was lard, bacon, which is not like Scottish bacon, which is basically meat. Our Slovak bacon is just the fat and the skin of the pig. We got 3 types of sausages, and we got the cracklings, and we got the jars of the jelly, and
Mm-hmm.
we got the ear and the tail.
Did we get the tail?
I think so, yeah.
What do we do with the tail?
Oh, I think we gave it to Janoschik's dog. I think we gave it to Janoschik to give it to his dog, but I believe that he probably just ate it himself.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah. And
I wonder if he's still alive. He's probably not.
I don't know actually. I know his wife died and his mother died. But last time I was talking
That's
to
unfortunate.
Janka, he was still alive. He was but she said that he was kind of, he's lost his spark apparently.
His spark.
Yeah. I know.
Did he ever have a spark?
Well, I don't know. Anyway, but my point is that now people go out there and they buy pork chops, and they can go and buy pork chops 5 times a week and have pork chops 5 times a week. But in the past you wouldn't do that, because you couldn't do that, because in one half a pig, that you would buy, you only had like 10 pork chops, right, coming out of that, or maybe 20 if you sliced them out thinly, and that was it. Rest of the pig was just other stuff, and
Yeah, that's a good point.
so it's not just the vegans that are out of touch with reality. It's also meat eaters that are out of touch with reality, because they can just go and get as much meat as they want, and they're eating 4 times as much meat in the past, and it's creating problems. I mean, one of the vegan point is ecology, yeah, because they're like, well, you have to use more land, and blah 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 blah, and cattle produces less food for less people with more land, and it's less ecological, and I think one of the reasons is that maybe people are not using it effectively enough. I don't know.
Oh,
Because everybody wants the pork chops and everybody wants the steak, and nobody wants the pig trotters. Well, I'm pretty sure they put them in like pet food and stuff, but
Well, everybody wants quality, and or most thinking people want quality. I mean, there's still a question mark there over
if they can afford it.
if they can afford it and if they can recognize it as well, because a lot of things which are labelled quality are not qualitative. Is that a word?
Some people have really, really strange buying habits.
Well, judging by 99% of the shit that's in the shops, that wouldn't surprise me.
Some people have really weird
Like,
buying
what
habits.
the fuck? I'm like,
They will.
I will walk through a shop and I will look at 99.99% of stuff and I'll be like, who the fuck is going to buy that?
Yeah, I know.
And then you come home with it.
Fuck you. Anyway, people have really weird buying habits because they'll splurge on one thing, and they'll be stingy.
Stingy's what bees
are.
do.
Okay, stingy with other things, and if they did it the other way around, they would be much better.
Like the electricity.
like somebody will I'm saying somebody,
So,
but
like somebody,
somebody could
somebody that we know.
somebody could like splurge on wine, yeah,
Mhm.
and use a lot
That's
of
a great
money
word.
to get wine,
I like that word.
and they would be stingy with, say, sausages, yeah, and
Mhm.
buy one of the cheapest brands of the sausages, um, which you could buy twice as expensive, and if you bought half the amount of wine, but more quality sausages that have 85% of meat in them instead of 40, um, you'd
Mhm.
probably be healthier. Because first of all, you'd drink less, and second of all, you'd save money because the other sausages are not as expensive as half the wine. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well,
So
it, it
it's
it's been proven in society that
people have strange buying
that
habits.
when you have access to more resources, you start going insane. You do.
I believe that.
You do. And the basis of it doesn't make sense, right?
Hmm.
Because you would start to think that when you have access to more resources, you'd realize more and make healthier choices.
No.
But actually, it doesn't work like that. For some reason, when you become, or when society becomes affluent in certain areas, it just goes insane.
I
And
think
there
it's
must be some kind of deep psychological trigger there.
I think it's also about the differences in the generations. Just like just like you pointed out, the other day that the grandparents' generation was a after the war generation that had to do with what they had. There was not enough stuff. There was not enough food choices, and they are from a different age. Whereas our generation of our children, has to learn different skills. They had to learn how to get stuff. Yeah. We have to learn how to choose from all the shit that's out there, and how to make sustainable decisions. Yeah, when buying stuff. And those are things that my parents, for example, didn't even have to think about for half a second, right? I mean, my parents are obviously much different than your parents, because my parents grew up in socialism, and they were happy to get one type, one brand of anything, really, right? The point was having enough money to buy it, and standing in the queue long enough to get it.
Oh yeah, and society's makeup or structure was so different because of that.
Yes, yes. And they have completely different sets of skills. I had a talk with my mother about it one day, and she said she told me that she's trying to learn to make better choices, because she, as a teacher, didn't earn a lot of money. Yeah, my dad didn't earn a lot of money either, so they always had to make do with what they had.
They were paid by the state, right,
Yeah.
most of their lives.
Well, everybody was paid by the state back then, because everything was state owned.
Fair enough.
And so basically, she had to get the cheapest stuff, right? But there wasn't even that much choice. Yeah, so she just had to figure out how to get stuff, basically, that we needed, or that we wanted, or whatever. And she said to me, "Oh, I wish I taught you, or I wish I had taught you how to choose more quality things, when you're shopping, how to shop for more quality." But she couldn't have taught me that, because she didn't have that skill, because she had no choices when she was learning. And she told me about how her mother always talked about times before socialism, and how she always said, was it her mother or her grandmother? I can't remember. I think it was her mother. And she said, she always said that the time before socialism was so good, because there were such good quality things in shops. She was like, you could get this really good quality, I don't know, whatever, meat or sweets or baked goods or blah 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 And she was mentioning there was a Jewish shop in the village, and they always had the best chocolate and blah 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 whatever. And she said my mother knew quality products, and she would know how to invest more in less stuff of higher quality rather than buying more stuff for cheaper money. And my mother said, but that skill has never been passed on to her because, well, there was no way of passing it on in the environment in which she grew up in socialism. So different generations have completely different sets of skills and completely different needs at that point in time in history. So I think our generation is supposed to figure out how to be less consuming, I think.
Well,
Because before it was all about how to be able to consume more.
yeah, I think I think modern culture tends to sleepwalk. They tend to not realize all of the options and all of the choices that are relatively available. They tend to, I don't know, it requires a lot. What the fuck are you doing?
I'm fidgeting, just keep talking.
I can't
Just-
talk while you're fidgeting.
Why? I just want to smell this toothpaste.
I was going to talk about something. I've completely forgotten what it was because you've just opened a tube of toothpaste in the bed.
I just want to smell it because
No,
it's
focus on-
connecting. It's
What?
connected to what we're talking about.
What?
Because
What
when I
did
was buying this tube of toothpaste in TK Maxx, I was thinking
What?
about. Oh, it smells really nice.
Let me smell.
Ah, just like toothpaste. I was thinking.
It smells like fucking toothpaste. What do
I
you mean it
know.
smells really nice?
It just does. Because when I was
You keep
buying
getting
this-
high sniffing the
this
toothpaste.
tube of toothpaste in TK Maxx 3 days ago, I was so happy because I found it and I
The
thought,
fact that you can buy anything of quality in TK Maxx is bizarre.
and I thought, wow, they've got this all natural toothpaste. I'm so happy about it, and it's really hard to get good, healthy, all natural toothpaste for a good price at the same time as well. So,
How much did that cost?
so I was like, so $2.50.
That's fair enough.
That's fair enough because it would cost about $4.50 in the Holland and Barrett if they had it. Anyway, so I was quite happy, yes.
Hmm.
And then I was thinking, I'm a bit of a spoiled consumer as well, you know?
Of
It's
course. We're all spoiled.
like, jeez.
If people had one of something in the past, it was amazing. Now, if we've got two of something, it's never enough.
It's like on one hand, it's good to know what's good quality and to be able to look for it and want it and buy it, not to go for just about anything that you can find on the shelf, yeah.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, we're so spoiled that we actually can do that. You know what I mean?
Well,
It seems a bit
well, this is how spoilt we are. We're so spoilt that we can reject 99.99% of everything.
of food.
Of everything.
Yes, you can
You
take
can walk
food.
you can walk into a shop and reject 99.99% of the clothes, of the
Yes.
technical stuff,
That's a very
of
good point.
the
Yes.
of the foods, of the I don't know, the
Yes,
cars,
and
of the
we
plants,
do, and
of,
I
of
do.
whatever.
And I do almost all the time. I go to the supermarket and I look at the shelves and I think, okay, well, of everything that is here, I personally can buy maybe 5% with clear conscience of, getting something that's not harmful.
Okay, let
people.
me pass this by you as a mindset, right?
Uh-huh.
Because it's all about mindset and thinking, and it's really important. That which is physical has, in the modern world, almost everything has a certain level of abundance. Things are mass-produced, and it's not wrong. It's just the way it is, yeah? Things are mass-produced. There's abundance in everything. Not only is there abundance in what we've produced physically, there is an even greater abundance in everything that is non-physical, intangible, mental and psychological. So if you take a concept which you can make simple or complicated depending upon how you want to, it's like success.
Mm-hmm.
There's no limit on success. None whatsoever. It's an absolutely, completely and totally abundant commodity. There is zero limit on it. I find it quite fascinating. And yet, in a strangely contradictory world that we live in,
Mm-hmm.
so few people appear to be able to find it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's actually no limit to it. It's actually completely and totally abundant with very few strings attached, if any. Yet people seem unable to hit the target when searching for success, and yet it's not in any way limited really by anyone or anything, because it can be redefined by the individual.
Well, maybe. Well,
And
I
I
think
just find it
it's-
quite fascinating.
yeah, I think it's more complex because you make it sound like all you have to do is look for success, but I don't think it's. I don't think that success is unlimited. It is unlimited if you think about it as an external thing. But if you think about success as an internal thing that is inside of everyone's mindset, yes, then it is not unlimited because everyone's mindset is limited in certain ways. And therefore people don't even, you've got vast majority of people don't even look
Well,
for success.
But the whole point
right?
of mindset is that it's not limited, though, because you either have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset.
You would
You're-
want the mindset not to be limited. I understand that.
You're
But
growing
you
or dying.
have, but you have limitations ingrained inside of your brain, and you can work with these limitations if you acknowledge them. Yes, and that would be the growth mindset that you're describing.
Sorry, continue.
But you cannot say that those limitations aren't there just because they can be overcome.
Would you agree that the physical is more, in essence, we are more limited physically than we are mentally?
But those things are interconnected.
Yeah, okay, I'm not.
You can't separate them.
Yes, yeah. I'm not going down that road. I'm
The
going down
physical
I'm going
pathways made in your brain are directly influencing your
Okay,
mental capabilities.
I'm
Okay.
not making that argument though. I'm not making that argument. I'm making a different point. I'm not going down. I know where that road leads. I'm not going down there. Look, here's my point.
Mhm.
You can't make yourself grow any taller,
Mhm.
but you can change your. You can make a decision to change your daily habits.
But my point is, can you?
Well, if you don't, then it's only you blocking yourself. There's nobody else stopping you.
Yes, I
Okay,
know.
if you want to change habit X for habit Y, right? There's nobody else that I'm aware of in the world that's coming to you and saying, you absolutely can't do that, that's completely wrong, I'm going to stop you.
I
There's nobody.
understand that,
Nobody.
but I think that you're underestimating the walls in our minds that are created at certain points in time.
I'm not saying
It's
I'm
not-
not saying those walls don't exist,
not-
but I'm saying you have a choice.
It's not as easy as having a choice to overcome them.
But see, my argument is the opposite of that.
Well, then
My
we
argument is
just
that it
have
is.
different opinions on that one.
My
then.
argument
I
that
don't
it
think
is that simple, because anybody can make, and they don't, because I get your point. It's more complicated. I get your point. They don't, but I've made this argument before. Anybody can make any decision at any point in time to change anything. That option is there. I'm not saying they
Yes.
take it. That option is there. Choice is there.
Yes, it
You
is
can-
there.
You
but
can turn left instead of right. You
Yeah.
can go up instead of down. You can choose to go
All I'm
backwards
saying
instead
is
of
that you have
forwards.
to be aware of certain limitations, and some of the limitations aren't going away. Take a person with depression, okay? I mean, depression has been studied over and over, and people still don't have clear answers.
And a lot of depression is choice.
But take a person with a depression, okay? I mean, I've got a friend with a depression, yeah, and she's your perfect depression patient, yeah. She made a choice to beat the depression or to manage it as much as she can. And she's doing a great job, right? Because she knows exactly what helps her. Like she knows that she has to go to bed every night at 10 o'clock, because if she doesn't get enough sleep, she'll, the depression will be more likely to hit. Yeah. She knows that she has to eat the right food. She knows that she has to exercise regularly. She knows what she has to watch for, and I don't know, communication, relationships, daily habits, yada, yada, yada. She goes to therapy regularly. So she made a decision, yes, to get to the next level, but she still has that depression there, which stemmed from traumatic experiences in childhood, blah 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 blah. And she can't say, or you can't say, okay, I'm deciding not to have depression, for example, yeah, and she'll not ever have it again.
That's where I'm. There's an argument that you can. You are aware of that.
She is making that decision, yeah, and she lives according to that decision, because she made the decision that she's not going to let the depression rule her life, yeah. But she cannot make the decision to make it disappear, because it's not possible.
What I'm saying is that there is an argument on the other side of that as well. For everything, like, how many things that were once impossible in the world, in the universe, are now possible?
Well,
almost everything, right?
Most of it is connected directly to material world, though.
I would look. There's a strong argument that that's not true, because everything is at first a mental decision before it's a physical reality. Everything is a mental decision before it's a physical reality. That's a fact. You cannot have a physical reality. You cannot manifest a physical reality without a mental decision. It can't be done. Human beings can't do it. It's an that's the impossibility, right?
Yeah, you're stating the obvious, though.
Yes, but my point is that you said it's impossible, and I'm saying that what is impossible can change.
Possibly in the future, but right now.
Yeah. Okay. Now the next point. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand that what's impossible can change, you understand that the future does not have to be the past. The future does not have to be the past.
Yes, and
you can choose in your own mind to break from the past.
yes, that's true. But you also have to be aware of your own specific limitations. Because if you're not aware, or if you try to deny them, then you're not going to move anywhere.
I don't think there's a limit except what people put on themselves.
Nah, that's where you're wrong.
No. I don't think that there's... Okay. I don't think there's anyone limiting you but you. Would you argue differently? I mean,
no,
I'm curious.
I'm not arguing differently.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You agree that nobody is limiting you but you.
Yes.
So you agree that you have power over your decisions.
No.
Okay, do you have control over your decisions?
Not all of them, no.
Okay, if you don't have control over your decisions, then who is it that does have control over your decisions?
It's my subconscious.
Okay, your subconscious is not you.
It is me, but I'm not making conscious decisions. That's what I'm saying. at some point.
Whoa,
So
whoa, whoa,
that
let's stop,
some
stop. No,
points,
let's
okay.
step by step. Let's take it step by step. Okay, don't run away. Take it step by step.
I'm not running away. I'm sitting on the bed.
Wait. Let's take it step by step. Don't run away.
I'm not running away.
Stop it. Let's just. You're making a very, very big statement and a very, very complex statement, as if it's something which it doesn't really, it's not really that important. Okay, let's look at it very carefully. Are you or are you not in charge of your decisions?
I'm not in charge of my own decisions 100% of the time now.
Okay. So, if you are not in charge of your decisions, does that mean somebody else is in charge of your decisions?
No.
Oh, okay. So you see where I'm going with this?
I understand where you're going with this. I understand that subconscious is a part of me. That's why I agreed to the first point. There is nobody else that's limiting you but you. I understand that, G. But I also understand that because of the complex nature of how people learn, right? And how people acquire habits, and not just habits in doing things, but also habits in thinking different ways while they're very, very little, yes, and they're in their very early childhood. There is a vast majority of decisions that you make without having any control over you yourself making these decisions, and that's the walls that I'm talking about. That's
walking about.
Yes.
You're fucking walking into them.
That's the limitations that I'm talking about here, that the limitations that you acquire in your early childhood and in your life are real, and they are there, and you have to be aware of them to be able to overcome them. You cannot just say there are no limitations to my mind, because that's not true, because you're avoiding the truth, and you will find it harder to overcome the limitations unless you actually acknowledge them.
Is it possible to overcome limitations?
Yes.
That's my point. My point is that is possible. My point is not that it's impossible. My point is that it's possible.
Now, actually, when I say yes,
I mean no.
I'm not 100% sure, okay? Because I don't have enough experience or research. I know myself that at this point in time, I have limitations that I cannot consciously overcome or decide to overcome as much as I want to. Yes. These are reactions of my body that have been learned through certain traumatic experiences that I cannot control. Right?
Are you in control of your actions?
Yes, but I'm not in control of my feelings in these situations.
Okay, so you are not in control of your feelings?
No.
You're not in control of how you feel?
No. And you know, and some with some things in some situations I am, but when I've got something triggering me, which is connected to whatever in the past, I cannot control my emotional reactions to that. That are actually physical. You know, they're so strong that they're physical reactions. That I cannot just tell myself, okay, I'm not going to react like this because it doesn't make any sense. I know perfectly fine that it doesn't make any sense, but I cannot influence that. Right? That's
Whoa, stop. Stop. Do you realize that the sentence, I cannot influence that, is a projected reality?
No.
Okay, it's a projection.
I'm not
saying there's not anything behind it, okay? What I'm saying is that sentence is a projection.
I'm explaining something. When I say I cannot influence that, I don't mean I will and never be able to influence it in the future. What I mean is I cannot do that right now in the past, in the present, where I am. Okay? Like, one of the reasons why I went to therapy is because I believe that these things are possible to overcome with help. For me, I cannot do it by myself at this point in time. You can say that just by saying that I cannot do something, I'm building walls for my own, for myself, consciously and quite happily, but I'm just aware of my limitations, and I know that I have decided 1,000 times over not to have these emotional reactions, but I know myself well enough to understand that I cannot. It's out of my capabilities.
Yeah.
At this point in time to influence it. I'm just being realistic.
As a linguist, if I can classify myself that way, I understand everything that you're saying. And I don't want to take anything away from that. I don't want to say it's not what it is. I respect all of that. At the same time, the language of can and can't is projection. And so this argument that you have presented, although it's real to you, it's also circular because it perpetuates itself.
No, I don't agree with that.
Well, now slow down, because you're going down a very, very negative path. Okay? Because you've started saying can't, don't.
Well, that's the
No,
truth.
and
Just
no,
because I don't agree with something with you, it doesn't mean I'm being negative.
Wait. Can you just be quiet for 30 seconds?
Maybe.
Here's my argument, right? My argument is that the can't and the don't and the no and your rush to define things as that is not you. Wait, I'm not finished, because I know where you're going, and I know what's going to come out. So, and I know that it's just going to steamroll over everything that I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's important. The language that we use projects the reality that we experience. What you are saying, or what a person is saying, does not have to be that person. There is a skill and an ability to separate the language from the person. And when you start down the road of can't, don't, not, and no, when I present to you an option, a possibility, and don't get it twisted, I'm not saying this is a fact, I'm not saying this is the only way, I'm not saying this is the only reality, I'm not saying there's no other choices, I'm not saying there isn't other things going on, I'm not saying any of that. All I'm doing is using positive language to affirm opportunities that exist within your experience. And your reaction to that is no. And I'm saying, and here's the conclusion of the argument, I'm saying that this reaction is not who you are. This reaction is part of the program that has driven you in the past. And that is the key that unlocks the more positive mindset for you in the future.
Thank you. I don't think you're listening to me.
I think I'm listening very carefully to every single word.
I said, I never denied the fact that you cannot work with limitations, or that you have to, that they have to stop you from doing things, or that they cannot be overcome. I'm saying yes. I'm saying yes, limitations can be overcome. Yes, you can work with things to make things better. Yes, you can progress. Yes. Okay? I have been saying yes to that the entire time, because what I'm saying is you have to be aware of them to be able to progress. That's all I'm trying to say is you should not deny them. You should, I'm very skeptical of the new age BS that's Pinterest is full of, like everything is possible and everybody can do anything that they want to, and all you need to do is dream and keep your eyes open, because it oversimplifies things. Yes, because we all have our own hurdles to overcome, and everybody comes from a different environment, and yada yada yada. It's not as simple. It's all that I'm trying to point out. Okay, it's like saying, okay, well, everything is possible, so why don't you make a handstand and walk on your hands across this room? I'm not saying it's impossible, and I'm not saying I won't be able to do it in 5 years, but I'm gonna need to train, and I'm going to need to practice, and I need time to be able to overcome my physical weakness. That's all I'm trying to say. I know that I am limited in that way, yes, because my arms are not strong enough, and my balance is completely off, and my core probably wouldn't hold up. Yeah. That's me at this point in time. I'm not saying that I will never be able to do that, because I know it's possible. I know it's possible to overcome my limitations. That's my point that I'm making. Is that clear? I'm not saying that, I've got these limitations because when I was born I wasn't able to walk on my hands. Right? So I think that I'm just being realistic. Because I know that if I try and do that now, I'll fall on my face. And you could probably argue that there's nothing wrong with falling on your face and I will just teach you a lesson, but yeah, but I can be aware of that limitation, and I can work slowly to overcome it.
Yeah, I realize that there's a lot of impractical suggestions, which people categorize as New Age bullshit, right? Let's use different words to describe it, because the New Age triggers people and bullshit triggers people. So let's just call it impractical suggestions.
Says the person who says that they doesn't have a problem to call things what they are.
I don't, but I don't want you to react in the wrong way, because I'm mentally one step ahead of myself in the mental chess of this conversation.
Okay.
Because I am projecting in my own mind what I'm going to say, how you're going to react, what I'm going to say, and how you're going to react, and what I'm going to say to that, okay? Some of which I get right, and some of which I get wrong, but I'm still projecting it. So I'm still, 4 or 5 steps down the line, but I'm still changing my next response based on how it is that you respond. But, in conversations...
What's the point? Sorry. I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
What are you actually trying to say?
I'm trying to say that the physical reality is a result of the mental decision. And we have to be aware of the growth mindset, the positive mindset, and all the other things going on there. And just from the language that you were using, and let's see this from the and I had this conversation with the dancer, yeah, and I cut.
The guy.
Yeah, I had this conversation with
David.
David. Yeah, that your words, and I'm not talking about you, okay, as a person. I'm just talking about people. People's words limit their actions. And people are not aware of it. And I don't know if you heard the conversation that I had with him, but
No.
we got into there's a couple of examples that I know of, I don't know of them personally, but I've heard enough stories to believe that they're pretty real. Yeah, and the classic example is the woman who spends all of her life frustrated by other people saying, I can't stand this, I can't stand that. Yeah. And later on in life, what happened to her, it's a true story. Later on in life, what happened to her was that she lost the use of her legs. She lost the use of her legs because she actually reprogrammed her own brain to not use her legs through her use of physical language.
And that's a true story.
It's actually a true.
You're 100% sure about that.
Yeah, it's documented.
Right.
Yeah, it's documented. And when she went to a language, after trying other different kinds of therapy, and the doctor's going, look, we don't know what the problem is. Everything should be okay, but it's not. We don't know, so it's probably psychological. She ended up with a language therapist who completely reframed, you could say reprogrammed, doesn't it? Reframed all of the language that she used to avoid the use of negative statements.
Mm-hmm.
And she slowly recovered the ability of her legs and began to walk again.
I've got an interesting concept for you.
And let me just finish this point. Now we're aware of somebody else in our environment who uses a lot of negativity and projects a lot of negativity. Mm-hmm. And I think that negativity is eating them.
And everybody around them.
But let's just say it's a very good study case. Because let's turn the negative into a positive, okay? It's a very good case to study, to understand what happens when you frame your world in negative language. And I'm not getting all new agey and saying, all you have to do is just think positive and good things will happen to you. I'm not saying that. But this is something these presentations that I gave years ago on understanding how language is constructed.
Mm-hmm.
How language is constructed. Positive statement, negative statement, question.
Mm-hmm.
That is the process of structure.
Mm-hmm.
Positive statement, negative statement, question.
Oh.
You're getting high sniffing the toothpaste over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't stop, can you?
Doesn't disturb you.
Stop sticking it up your nose, for God's sake. And positive statement, negative statement, question. Right.
Uh-huh.
What actually exists? What is the root? What is the seed? The seed is the positive statement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? From positivity, we create negativity. It doesn't actually exist, but we create the opposite. We create the negative, yeah? So, here's the example. What's the example? I don't know, I did. I have a car. Okay, that's a statement. Yeah.
All right.
This is what I use with my students.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, or to say I have a book. Okay.
That's more likely, yeah.
Okay. Let's create something simple. Right. I have a book. Yeah. Now, the language recreates the reality. Nature and the universe does not have negative principles. You can look at the concepts of opposites, you can look at a holistic approach, but negative does not exist in nature. Nature is entirely positive.
How
The
about
universe-
electrons?
Okay, do you remember we had this conversation about what the theory of physics is?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's that whole. I'm not going to have that conversation again. But I explained that to you before. Okay, I explained that to you before. It's not a reality. It's a projected human theory. It's not a reality. It's a projected human theory. And I know it's very hard to get your mind around this, but this is
It's
part of
not.
what's blocking.
It's not really hard to get my mind around, actually.
Okay, so it's a projected theory. Relativity is still is a theory. All
Yeah, just
science
I'm willing
is
to
theoretical.
I'm willing to entertain these statements of yours. Doesn't
Well,
mean that I'm
wait, it's not
already
a
agreeing to
wait,
them.
Wait,
Okay.
wait. It's not a statement of mine, it's a fact.
As I said, I'm willing to think about it, but I'm not going to accept it blindly just because you said it's a fact.
Yeah, for sure. It
Okay.
has to be studied, but I guarantee you that you cannot find anything to contradict it anywhere.
That's a
You can find madness.
pointless
You can-
statement. but,
No, it's not, because if you start arguing that facts are not facts, then you end up becoming nervous and playing with tubes of toothpaste.
Yeah, nobody's arguing that facts are not facts, G. I just said that I have to study it.
Look, I'm
That's all I'm saying.
no. All I'm doing is looking at. I'm looking at how your face is rejecting my comment.
It's
Now,
not
trust me as a person.
rejecting it. I just said I'm not going to blindly accept it. It's not rejecting it. That's saying I have to research it to be able to make my own opinion on it. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say yes, you're right, because I don't know much about it, enough about it. So
Yeah. Okay.
that's
But
all
if
I'm saying.
yeah. But if I'm saying, look, there's a tree outside the window there, and you're like, well, I'll go have to go and study it. It's like,
No, I
well,
can
that's making
empirically
things
see
more
it from here, but I cannot empirically see whether electrons exist or don't. So
yeah,
I
I
have
know.
to
That's why
study it,
nobody
okay?
can. That's a theory. You can use technology to create an image or impression of something, but all image is projection. It's all light and energy. All image is projection. That's why the root of the word image is the word magic. All image is projection. Not that it's not unnecessary and not important and not practical and not useful, but it's still projection at the end of the day. And you come back to language. You enjoy playing with enjoy massaging your toothpaste tube over there.
Yes.
Okay, because that's a...
It's a problem. You always have
No.
problem with me fidgeting with things. I told you before I have to fidget with something. I've got a tube of toothpaste here to fidget with.
The
so.
fidget's a projection as well. Anyway, it's a habitual projection.
Okay, well, I like
And
doing that.
There's a whole deeper element there that we're not going to talk about today. Okay, positive statement, negative statement, and there's your facial expressions again. Rejecting things. You're rejecting things in your facial expression. Okay. I don't need to go deeper in psychology because I see what's happening inside your mind. and
Yes,
your
I
face.
am openly rejecting the fact that you need to study deeply. Why do I fidget?
You're blocking. You're psychologically blocking yourself. Okay.
I'm
But
not.
that's a block. That's a block right there.
It's not.
You just reacted to it with a block.
No.
That's another block.
It's not a block. It's
The
just
block is
my
blocked twice.
expression of my opinion, G. It's not a fucking
No,
block.
now you're sliding down the road of gradually changing the focus of
Can
the
you get
conversation.
back? I just wanted
Now
to.
you're
I
pretending
just wanted to suggest to get back to the negativity because you slid off the topic talking
No.
about electrons and shit.
No, I
So
didn't
let's
slide
get
off the
back
topic. That was
to
I didn't slide off the topic.
the
I just said
negativity in
I
the
just said
nature.
that your expressions on your face are blocking the information.
That's great. Can we get back to the negativity in the nature, please?
Okay.
Because I've lost the train of thought
I
completely.
know that you've lost it because you've derailed it. Okay, let's get back. I'm trying to point out. That's why I'm holding my fingers up in the 3 points in front of us here, so I can get to these points before it gets blocked.
Get to them then.
Okay. So, can you remove your hand from in
I've
front
been-
of your face so that I can see your reactions?
Just give me a second, yeah, because my ear hurts. Here hurts.
The number of walls that I'm breaking down in this conversation is incredible. Right. So, language comes down to the positive, the negative, and the question. There are no negatives in the universe except that which human beings have created. There's not. Now you can look at the division of things into yin and yang and holistic principles and so on, which are nice ways to look at complete circles. But the negativity that we use to describe things that are not here, or that don't exist, or that never will, are human psychological projections. And they are the underpinning and underlying blocks. They are the expression of the underlying blocks through language.
Yeah, but sometimes the blocks are based on reality.
Not arguing that point. Not saying that's a very interesting point. Not saying positive or negative, right or wrong. I'm not arguing that point. There is only that which exists, that which we project into existence. That is the only thing that exists. The negativity that we experience is our own projection of negativity onto situations.
I understand what you're saying.
For example, let me give you one final example. Okay.
Mhm.
Outside of the window there's a tree.
Mhm.
Well, hopefully we can agree.
Mhm.
There's a tree there, right? Whether that tree is good or bad, meaning positive or negative, whether you like or don't like the tree, that is a projection.
Yes, I thought we were
the tree
talking
itself.
about existence and non-existence when talking about.
No,
positive
I'm
and
talking
negative.
about your language.
Okay.
I'm not talking about existence and non-existence. I'm talking about how the negative language that you use is something that is in your control to not use and will greatly change your ability to achieve what it is you want to personally achieve.
Yes, but sometimes the negative language is the only way to express the actual reality that doesn't exist, because I understand that the nature is created out of positive, right? It's created...
Only positive.
Shut up. It's created from the things that do exist rather than from the things that don't exist. I mean, obviously, right?
You can't create something from nothing.
Yeah. Can you shut up when I'm talking? But if I tell you to go out there and buy us a house, right? What are you going to say? You're going to say, well, no, I can't do that just now. And that's not you being negative.
Wait, I'm not actually going to why don't you ask me that question and wait to
Okay,
see
well,
what
can you
answer
go-
I give you rather than asking and answering for me,
Well,
which
can
is a
you go? Can
projection.
you go buy me a house then?
To buy a house requires a number of actions.
Mm-hmm.
You see, now, I need to take a step back for a second. This projection of question and answer is a large part of your negative mindset. Because you automatically project onto me a negative answer before I get a chance to even answer.
Isn't that what you're doing in your conversation? Like you said before, you are one step ahead and you know what you're going to say and what I'm going to answer and what you're going to answer to my answer. Which sometimes is right and sometimes is wrong. Isn't that the same kind of thing, only uttered rather than thought?
No, because I accept your answer as what it is and then go down the next road.
Yeah, well, me too.
No, but
I'm
no,
accepting
wait,
it
no,
right
no,
now.
no, wait, but you didn't give me a chance to answer in the last part because you didn't ask a question. You said if I ask you this, you'll answer that,
Well, that's my
which is
thinking.
bypassing any chance to be positive. You're bypassing any chance to be positive.
Okay, so let's go through it again. Go outside, please, today, and let's go and let's buy a house.
Do you think that is a reasonable suggestion for our day today?
It's a reasonable suggestion for our future to try and buy the house. Well, I could say, okay, let me change it, and let's just say let's buy a house in the next
Okay, that's good. Don't get defensive.
3 months.
But
Right.
Okay,
That
so
would be more
so-
reasonable.
so-
Okay. Let's
Did you see the difference? Do you feel the difference
Yes,
there?
yes,
Do you
let's-
feel the difference?
let's buy a house in the next 3 months.
You feel the difference, right?
Okay.
Because there's a difference in your facial expression. There's a difference in your body language. There's a difference in. Would you stop trying to? What the fuck are you doing? You're trying to molest a tube of toothpaste there. What the fuck are you doing?
I'm playing with it. Just continue. Just ignore what I'm doing with my hand.
Okay, yes or no? Did you feel a difference in your expression there at the end? That one was positive, one was negative. There was
I
definite
find
difference.
it extremely annoying when you keep analyzing my every move rather than focus on the topic.
I apologize for that.
Good, thank you.
I apologize for that. Still needs to be pointed out. So when you ask that question
Mm-hmm.
the first time, when you asked the question the second time,
Mm-hmm.
they were very different approaches, because the first time was all cynical and negative, and I'm going to ask you to do something which I know is impossible and see how you react to it. And the second time was, I'm going to make a suggestion which is far more reasonable. Would you stop sticking the toothpaste up your nose?
Just
Would,
focus.
it's like a fucking heroin addict or something.
I just
I
like
don't
the
think.
smell of
I
it.
don't think.
What's wrong
I
with
don't think
that?
it's
I'm just
designed to go
enjoying
into
the
your.
smell.
I don't
I'm
think it's
being
designed
positive.
to. I don't think it's designed to go into your brain.
I'm just being positive.
Since when is snorting just been a positive activity?
It is.
Fucking hell. Right.
Look,
Is it nice? Do you like the minty smell?
suggesting
nice?
something impossible to you proves my point of negativity being based in reality.
It's in your mind.
It's not in my freaking mind, G. You're not going to go out there and buy a house within 3 months because you have absolutely no money, right? It's reality. It's a material reality. I'm being realistic. It's not in my freaking mind. I just know it cannot be done. I would love you to prove me wrong. Can you think positive? Can you think positive
wait.
us into a house within the next
Wait.
3 months?
Okay, now. So from that, I understand from that you agree that your second suggestion was also impossible.
Yes, I know that the suggestions
So
are
what is-
impossible.
what
That
is-
proves my point.
Good. Now, what is the positive effect of making impossible suggestions?
That it proves my point that not everything can be positive. That negativity has peace in reality. Because your point was that it's all about speech. It's not about fucking speech. It's about what is real and what is not real. If something doesn't exist, you can. Okay, let me explain it clearly. Yes, I understand that everything out there is made out of positive things that do exist. But if you can perceive things that do exist, you can. Good morning.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, Will. How are you this morning?
Why don't you have some muesli? Okay.
You're up bright and early.
Yeah.
You're up bright and early.
Tomorrow's Christmas Eve.
No, after tomorrow is Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Monday is Christmas Eve.
You said to Christmas.
I said 3.
Dun, dun, dun.
I said 3 days last night. That's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
It's 2 days now.
Well, today's only just begun, so it's
Yeah,
still
but
3 really.
You know what? You know what the positive thing is, Will? You get to have 2 Christmas days. Everybody else gets 1, but you get 2.
Because you get Slovak and Scottish.
How amazing is that?
You only get presents on the
twice as
second one.
much as everybody else. Look at his face.
Okay, man, happy obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've just knocked my weight.
So on Christmas Eve we're gonna have a Slovak Christmas,
Mhm.
and on
Mm-hmm.
Christmas Day we're
Yep.
gonna have a Scottish Christmas.
Yep.
Yes. So you get 2 Christmases.
Mm.
So it's only 2 days to the Slovak Christmas and 3 days to the Scottish Christmas.
Yep.
Like 2 days till Scottish Christmas.
No.
The other way around.
No, that's not what I said. Well, it's breakfast time.
Yeah.
Right, scoot downstairs, man.
The point I'm making is, because you can perceive what is real, you also have the ability to directly perceive what is not real or what is not there, right? You have a desert that is made out of a lot of sand. Yes, it's positive, right? It's made out of what's there. But because you've been in the forest before, you can go to the desert and you can determine, okay, there's a lot of sand here. That's great. Also, there are no trees, right? So because you have perceived the positivity before, you can also perceive the negativity, the non-existence of something. And
That's a very interesting justification of negativity. You realise that's how a negative mind would justify negativity. That's the truth. Now, laughing is how the negative mind responds to coping with its own negativity.
or maybe it just finds what you said funny.
No, because it's not, because it's the way your whole mindset is set up. Your whole mindset is set up to deny the existence of your own negativity. Let me explain.
I'm not denying the existence of my own negativity.
You're justifying. You're justifying it, and then laughing is denying. You denied it when you laughed.
No, I don't deny the existence of my own negativity.
Can I show you
I'm
how it
arguing
works?
that it exists.
Can I show you how it works in a positive mindset? Can I show you how the positive mindset
Okay, show me.
approaches that problem? Right? Now, you've already rejected it by laughing. That's what the psychological laughter is. The psychological laughter is the rejection of the other person's statement before the other person presents a fact. That's what laughing is.
No, the laughing was me expressing my amusement on what you already said, because I don't know what you're about to say.
No, but
so I can't reject it if I don't know what you're about to say.
okay,
I think you're underestimating me hugely here in this conversation, and I don't think I deserve it.
I'm explaining how laughter works. So you're taking it as a personal attack, and I'm saying that it's nothing to do
That's
with.
because you are
person.
defining my emotional reaction, and you have no fucking idea
No,
where that emotional reaction came from, because you're not reading my mind. You cannot
Once again, you're projecting negativity. Once again, you're doing it. You're doing it again.
That's because you do annoying things, G. You cannot define my reactions and where they come from because you don't know that.
You're doing perfect
You're not
projection.
a mind reader.
You're projecting again.
And
It's
you're
a
doing it again.
No,
You think you've got
I'm
me
just
all
trying.
obsessed, but you don't.
No, that's projection again. There's 3 projections that are not real. You're just projecting not reality on top of not reality on top of not reality. If you'd actually stopped for a second, I would have explained it to you. But you don't want it explained to you. That's the psychological.
No,
that's
I
the
have
underpinning.
reacted to what you've already explained, G.
You still don't want it explained to you. You're still being negative. Do you want it explained to you? You have to agree for me to explain it, for it to work.
G,
Would you like me to explain it to you, how it works? Would you?
I'd
like
love
me
to answer that question, but you don't let me because you ask the same question again.
Because I've asked it 5
It's
times. and
really
not received an
annoying.
answer. That's negative. That's negative projection.
I
I'm
am
trying to help.
listening to you. Do you?
I'm
do
trying
you
to present the counter argument. Would you please allow me to present the? It's not even a counter.
Do you
argument.
not
Would please be
understand
allowed
how
to the positive
annoying
mindset?
and how extremely disrespectful it is
That's
to
projecting
repeat
negativity.
the same thing again and again and again to a completely sane person that doesn't have any problems
Could I
with their
please-
hearing?
Could I please explain what I wanted to explain before?
Yes,
Otherwise-
please fucking do it and stop asking the same
Don't
question.
get angry at me. Don't get angry at me.
I do because
you
you're not
don't-
listening to
that's-
me. You're
that's-
just going
you're-
blah 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 your own shit,
I'm
and you're not listening
I'm
to me at all.
I'm listening. That's projection again. So that's 5 projections. It's very interesting. It's good. It's good that we get to go through this because I get to see how the negativity is being projected. So, your example
Yes. Which one?
Your example that I wanted to talk about that you gave about the desert and the trees. Yeah?
Yes.
Now you're making strange facial expressions at me, which is projection again.
I'm not making them at you. I'm making them at the curtain. Continue, please.
Yeah, but just
Continue.
you have to realize that you're being. You have to realize that you're psychologically rejecting the argument before the argument's been presented. You have to realize that. That's very important because it means that you're not open to it. But I will present it anyway just to put it on the record. Yeah, because you've already blocked it psychologically. The voice deep down inside you has already said that I'm going to reject this and I'm preparing you for rejection.
Which you know because you can read my mind, obviously.
That's projection. The very statement is projection. The very statement to somebody else that you can read my mind, obviously, that's projection. It's aggressive projection.
The very statement
Yes,
that you
because
know what
because
I
I
have
said
decided
because
or
I,
haven't decided
because I
is so
said
arrogant.
because I said earlier
Uh-huh.
that I don't know that, and now you're projecting that I do. I've already stated earlier that I don't know that. I've already stated
You
earlier
just
I
told
don't
me
know.
that I have already decided to reject what you're going to say. That is so arrogant. You don't know that.
I am looking at your aggressive reactions to my statements. That's all. Now, here's the positive mindset approach to what you described. Now you're giving me a stare, which is like it's not.
Fuck's sake! Do you want me to hide under the duvet so you don't see my face, or can you just get to the point without commenting on how I look all the time?
No, because it's very
I
important.
don't know how to look normal.
Your
okay?
body is expressing your mind.
so
Your body is an expression of your mind. There's nothing but aggressivity coming out
okay.
of you. Nothing but aggressivity.
I'm going to look neutral then.
Now you're making a funny face. So in an attempt to derail the argument. You've picked this up in childhood from your mother because this is what your mother did to you.
No,
You've
it's
picked
not.
up every single habit that you can find mentally to destroy and derail the
That's
conversation.
madness, G. I'm just trying to listen to you, but you keep commenting on my fucking face. Can you just get to the point without commenting on my
no,
face?
because
I don't
I
comment
know-
on your face, okay? This is just
You've
how I
picked up
look.
every single one of these in your childhood.
I know you're a
These-
psychologist,
these-
okay.
These are all derailment tactics.
Are you going to explain what you wanted to
Yes.
explain or not?
Yes, but I'm trying to break through the barriers that you're putting up.
No, you're not. You're putting up more barriers by talking about shit. Can you please get to the point?
See that this is being extremely aggressive when I'm trying to explain something. Very simple. Right. Your presentation of what you call reality, saying that, defining that I can see this is a desert because there are no trees. Is that, am I getting that right?
Not entirely. I said you can go to a desert and observe that there are no trees because you know what trees are because you've seen them before.
Mm-hmm.
You can make an observation of an absence of something and use a negative language to describe it.
Or you can avoid the negative language by saying there is a desert here and there is a forest over there. This is the definition of a desert, therefore this is a desert. This is the definition of a forest, therefore this is the forest. You don't need to use negative language in those descriptions.
You don't need to, but what is the definition of a desert?
Well, I'm sure we can check that in the dictionary.
It's a place devoid of life, basically.
That would seem like a reasonable definition, yeah.
So, in the definition itself, it has a negative, right? My point is, what would even be the point?
That's a very good point. I never thought of the fact that desert is actually negative. I never thought of it like that. That's a very good point.
What would be the point of avoiding the negative description of a desert by all costs? What I'm saying is that sometimes
Avoidance would be negative.
sometimes describing something in a negative language is just what's practical and what's real.
That statement is a contradiction.
I don't understand how.
Okay, repeat the statement again. Let me break it
I
down.
said sometimes describing things using negative words is what's practical and what's real.
Using negative language can be more practical in certain situations. Yes, it's definitely not more real. There's a contradiction there.
I didn't
You-
say more real, I said what's real. I don't think you can have things
Positive.
more and less
okay,
real.
yeah, but positive and real are different. You can't categorize them together.
Yeah, I know. I didn't say that.
You put them in the same sentence, though, as positive and real.
I said that using negative language is just describing what's real. How's that a contradiction? If I say this is a desert,
That's an impossibility.
no, it's not.
It is.
If I
Let me
see,
explain.
listen, let me explain first, okay? Because you're jumping on what I say. If I go to a desert and I say, this is a desert, there are no trees, I'm expressing the reality using negative language.
That's a different statement to what you originally said.
I don't think so.
Well, that's a fact. I'll go back and play them to you later. It's a different statement.
It's a
I don't think so. It's not an
illustration.
argument.
It's giving you an example of what I said. Because
Yeah, it's a different example. Absolutely, I agree. It's an
No.
example. It's a different. No, I'll go and play those statements back to you. They're completely different. I can play those statements back to you. They're completely different. It's nice to be able to create word salad and to be able to say that things that are not the same are the same.
Okay, now you're talking about things that are not real, but okay.
No, that's not an argument. Repeating what somebody else has said to you is not an argument. But I can go back and play those original statements that you said. They are the same and they're different. They're clear.
I
I'll
know
write
they
them
are
down for
different
you.
because one statement said that stating something in negative words is just what's real. And the second statement gave you an example of it. Of course, they're different statements because I'm saying different things, but
Okay, let me
both of those things connect to the same logical point.
Let me. If you make the first statement again, I will explain to you why there's a contradiction. In it.
Sometimes using a negative language is just expressing what's real, and it may also be more practical. That was my original statement.
Yeah, you switched around the position of real and practical.
Is that a problem? Do you want me to switch them back?
Well, it manipulated the sentence a little bit.
Okay,
Because what
sometimes
comes earlier in the sentence has a
sometimes
different
using
emphasis.
negative language is just more practical, and it expresses what's real.
And my response to that was that the first part of that is correct and the second part is not correct.
I know that was your response, and I don't agree with that statement. And
Well,
I
let me
gave you the
explain-
example why I don't agree with it.
The example was unreal. Let me explain why the example was unreal. Negative language. You said that negative language described the reality. Is that a true statement?
In some situations, yes.
Negative language describe only positive language can describe reality. You see, that's the difference.
Well, can you tell me more, because I gave you an example that
Yeah,
proves that that's not true.
only positive language can describe reality, because negative language is an extension of positive language. The positive language must come first.
I didn't
Positive,
argue that it
negative
doesn't have
question.
to come first. I argued that it can still be used to describe reality. It doesn't matter whether it comes first, second, or third. It can still be used to describe reality. In some situations, it's more practical to use it to describe reality. For example,
Yeah, but I'm not talking about. I agreed that the practical was there, but the real is not. Those are two different things.
I don't
Real and practical are not the same thing.
look. I don't have enough money to buy a house. Is that reality?
It depends if you're going to let me take a step back and finish my argument.
Okay, finish your argument.
Real and practical are not the same thing.
I know.
So, let me give you a definition of that. Practical could save you time.
Gee, I don't need a definition. I understand the meaning of the two words.
No, but
That's
I'm
why
explaining.
I used them
You
in the
wanted
sentence.
an example for my argument. I'm giving
Uh-huh.
it to you, and now you're being aggressive towards me because I gave you an example.
Yeah, but you don't need to tell me about practical, because we already stated that that's correct. Tell me about the real, please.
But it's stages. You can't just jump to the end. You have to understand the process. Process number
Well,
one.
I'm just trying to save you
can't.
time, because I understand the step number one. Okay.
Okay, practical. But I'm not sure you know all the processes of the argument that I'm going to present.
Well, I don't, because I don't know what argument you're going
Okay,
to
well then
present.
let me present the processes, rather than saying that I don't want to hear that. Number one is the practical. The use in practicality is, for example, saving time. And this, in terms of a debate, could manifest itself in understanding that somebody else will understand the negativity faster than they would understand the positivity.
Mm-hmm.
So you would express something to somebody else in a negative statement, realizing that they would understand the negative statement faster than they would understand the positive statement.
Or more accurately.
Yeah, because that's what works for them. They have a negative mindset. So you
Mhm.
express it to them in the negative language
That's-
for their negative mindset.
I didn't say that. I don't agree with that. I don't think people only understand negative statements better when they have a negative mindset. I think that's a bit of a stretch.
I think it's practical to assume that a person who is negative a lot of the time would understand expressions of negativity clearer than expressions of positivity. They would relate to it. I mean, if somebody, like it would be like if someone's language is French, you'd explain it to them in French. If someone's language is negativity, you'd explain it to them in a negative
Look,
way.
you've got a positive mindset, but if I tell you that there are no trees in the desert, you can still understand it pretty well, can't you?
I adapt.
You could probably understand it better than if I said, there's a forest over there and there's a desert over there.
That's projection.
Never mind. Okay, well, just go.
No, that's funny. Never mind. That's projection. Never mind. Never mind about my projection. My projection is not important. That's so funny.
Okay, well, like that. Just I can't argue with that, so you can just keep talking.
You just projected totally onto me there. No, the point is that you cannot have a parallel argument for practicality and reality. You can't, because what is practical might save you time,
Yes.
but there's no negative reality to express without understanding the positivity first. For example, when you're a child,
But I said that in the first place, G. I said that in the first place.
oh, maybe I missed it.
I said in the first
could you
place
express it
that first you have to perceive the positivity of things to be able to observe the negativity, or to be able to state its absence. I said first there has to be things existing, and you have to see the positivity of them to be able to form negativity. That directly tells you that I understand that positivity comes first and negativity is derived from it. I understand that.
Good.
And I said that like 10-15 minutes ago.
Good.
Good. Is that the point that you were going to make?
Yes, and because of the difference between those two definitions, the statement that you made was contradictory, because you can't class those 2 points together.
I didn't class them together. I put them together in one sentence exactly the same way as I would put together that apple is red and sweet. I understand they are two different things, but I can still put them in the same sentence to describe one thing. Just like I could say those slippers are warm and that windowsill is white. They don't necessarily have to, be completely logically connected, but they can still be in one sentence. I don't see the problem with that.
And the problem is that if you're making an argument or presenting a point or perspective, you need to, not you specifically, but people need to define their points very clearly.
I actually think that it was quite logical for me to put those two things into one sentence, because they are both positive ways, or not positive ways, but they both give you the reason of why negative sentences can work better in certain situations. Those were actually quite logically connected together in that one sentence. They were like saying using the car is faster and safer, right?
Yeah, I can see that point. I can see that perspective. It's not the only perspective, but I can see it.
Anyway, I wanted to tell you about 45 minutes ago in the conversation.
Well, whenever you're ready.
Well, I couldn't get to that point because you got stuck on one thing.
I got stuck.
Yes.
I got stuck. I wasn't the person projecting negativity onto the other person. You see, she's laughing at you. She's laughing at you.
You got stuck.
You see, you're still at it.
I wanted to say
Stuck.
that there's
Mommy's stuck.
an interesting concept that I came across before, and I told you about it before, but I don't think that I don't know whether you have
You didn't listen to me.
entertained that idea very much. And that was that in most situations, unless you're actually talking about physical disabilities, I mean, when you talk about wants and needs and your mental processes, then it is a very good idea to switch can't for don't want to in sentences, because most of the times it is actually more accurate, and it also empowers you in language. So let me give you an example. The woman that couldn't stand other people, she may have had a annoying neighbor, and she may have said, "Oh, I can't stand this person," But if she changed it, she could have said, "I don't want to stand this person," which would be more true and it would give her the power in that sentence to act on that further. You know, because if you say I can't stand it, you kind of stuck with it. You're like, well, I can't stand it, but I don't know if there's anything I can do with it. It's just a statement of reality. But if you say I don't want to stand it, it gives you a follow-up option for a sequel, right? Leaving an open end. Well, what am I going to do to not have to stand this person any longer?
I agree. It's a step in the right direction.
So it might be an interesting mental exercise for you to try that sometimes. It's an interesting exercise for me to try that.
What if I already applied that into my work about 10 years ago?
Did you?
Yes. Because I'm aware of that psychological tactic because I studied that about 10 years ago. You're now trying to stick the toothpaste in your eye.
I'm not.
Please don't stick the toothpaste. It won't be good for your eyes. It's for your teeth. It's not for your eyes.
I'm just aligning it with my nose and I'm measuring how straight my nose is.
You're measuring how straight your nose is with toothpaste.
Yeah.
That's not a normal activity.
That's a negative statement.
It is. It is a completely negative statement. It's a totally negative statement. I agree with that 100%. It's not normal.
How do you know what's normal?
Well, it's just the opposite of what you do. I just in general, I just kind of define it.
But you
as that.
cannot use that negative statement. You have to say, this is normal and this is Yanka.
Okay, well, this is normal and this is Yanka.
Yeah, that's much better.
Changing can't to don't want to
Mm-hmm.
is step one. It's good, first step. You want to give people small steps they can achieve.
I think it's a
that's-
huge step. I think
for-
it's a huge shift
okay,
in the entire mindset of a person.
Okay, for some people it's a small step. For some people it's a big step, okay? I mean, for you not sticking the toothpaste in your eye would probably be a small step, but there you go.
You have no imagination.
I know that I can
sorry.
imagine
I have imagination. You have practicality.
You're now shaving your head with the toothpaste. What the fuck? Is there anything you can't do with a toothpaste tube? Apparently
I
not.
can do anything with a toothpaste tube. I'm very positive, and therefore I realize that this toothpaste tube can be used for shaving, and for sticking it in your eye, and for serving your breakfast.
Well, it's not that you can't use it for other things. It's that you don't want to.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. I don't want to use it for.
I think
I don't know.
You have to give it to Zora here so that she can. Why don't you smell it, Zora? It smells really nice, minty.
I don't want to use
Okay,
it
well,
for chopping up bacon.
whether or not you want to argue about whether changing can't to don't want to is a small step or a big step, it is still the first step.
It's a big step, everybody.
It's the first step.
That is also arguable.
No, it's the first step, and then later on, hopefully, you can transfer to positive language. But the negative language is a projection of your negative mindset.
It's
another
whichever
voice inside of you
step.
controlling you.
It's whichever step it is, and as important as it is, according to the individual people who apply this step. For somebody, it can be a small first step. For somebody, it can be a big fourth step in their self-development. I think you have to acknowledge the individual factor in this.
Yes, I would break it down into small steps for people, and it would be individual for each person and their processes. In
Good.
that situation.
Good.
There. Here's my challenge. My challenge is to spend a whole day using only positive phrases. And each time you use a negative phrase, you have to pay £1 to the other person. Now, as you already...
I have absence of pounds.
That's because
There are pounds in other people's accounts, and then there is my account.
that's because you gave me some of your absence. You give me
I gave you some of...
you give me 20 for that thing.
Oh, that thing. Oh, yes,
Yes.
I did.
And
I
I
did.
considered that as payment for the
For the lost bet.
yes,
All right.
for the lost bet. So we're square, okay?
I think I'm more of a rectangle.
What a fucking obtuse triangle.
Shut up. What are you then? What are you then? Right-angled?
Is shut up negativity? Does that count?
No. Well, it's possible.
Ah! That's a pound.
This is ridiculous.
That's a pound.
So, you're only allowed to say positive statements.
That's true.
That is completely ridiculous. Are
There's-
you going to
there's a lot
keep
of
score?
There's a lot of rejection in there. Absolutely.
Good. Are you going to write
I'm-
it on a piece of paper?
I will put a piece of paper in my pocket and I will carry it around with me and I will make notes on it.
Is swearing and saying God hates me considered negativity or positivity?
I would consider
You
the use.
do that a lot.
I would consider the use of strong negative words, such as
Oh, fuck,
Oh, I can't-
fuck. For example. You can use them
well,
while you're
let's just
while you're
okay. We haven't
defining
started
the,
the game yet because then I have to explain what the words are because
Okay.
I would like break the rules by like so. Strong negative words cannot be used. Okay, so yeah, I would go with that. So you can't say
So no fuckity fuck fucks.
no fuckity fuck fucks, no shittity fuck fucks, no cuntity fuck fucks,
Okay.
and
No shut ups and
yeah, that would be no shut up, no hate. Okay.
no hate.
Okay, so any words that I think that we can agree have a strong negative connotation. I would also include the word never.
Okay. Also, I suggest
Well,
that
let's not make it
we-
too complicated.
I suggest that we don't just do with language wise, but concept wise as well. So, for example, if you've got a situation, you're not going to say, "Oh shucks,"
That would
you know.
but
but-
shucks is like a way around just saying oh, shit, right? I mean that
So, you should.
that would be a negative.
Are we
approach,
going to like only look at the positive things, like, "Ooh, this carpet is dirty. That's a good thing that I can clean it."
Well, you could say that this carpet smells, which is a sign that.
Well, you can say it's dirty. There's no
maybe
wrong
it
with saying that it's dirty.
Yeah,
It's just an observation of reality, right? It's not
yes.
expressing a negative attitude. So we're also working with attitudes, yeah, not expressing negative attitudes towards things. Like, that's unfortunate.
Well, it could be said in a sarcastic sense. Right, I mean, you could be like squirting the stuff out of a tube. You could be squirting a toothpaste, and it could go in your eye, and you'd be like, "That's unfortunate."
Yeah, I know, but that would be expressing your negative attitude towards.
Okay,
something
how
that
would you
happened.
give a positive reaction to getting toothpaste in your eye?
Well, you could wash it out, and then you could say, "Ooh, that stang! Thank goodness that I could wash it out quite effectively with this water."
And is the first part of that not negative, or is it just an observation?
This is just the observation of reality.
Okay. 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 If I would go with this because it's going to be difficult for me, so I would go with that challenge.
Okay.
I'll go with that challenge. So we've got the pound challenge for the day, where all of the statements have to. They don't have to be all positive. We just have to avoid the negative, right? So
as oxymoronic as that is.
it does sound a bit oxymoronic. Oh look, would it be better for you if I said we're going to be all positive?
Yes, that's more positive than saying we have to avoid the negative.
Okay. If it's better for you to do that, then I'll do that. If
Okay.
that makes you feel better.
That's challenge accepted. You can touch my hand now and shake it. It's okay, I don't have leprosy. We start with the shake. There you go.
That was
Good shake.
yeah, it was a good shake. It was very very comfortable, very convenient,
Very
very
firm and then very decisive.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's good to be decisive.
I should go and get a breakfast sorted for this cuddly girl.
We should keep.
What?
We should keep tabs on.
Yes, you should do a few videos during the day, just talking about things.
Oh no, I wasn't thinking about that. That's a good idea. That's a great idea. In
I
fact,
know.
as well. What?
I know. I'm good like that.
Oh, we can have all this self-praise now.
Yes.
I'm fantastic.
I am. I'm gonna be like Jazz. I'm doing great. Yes, William?
We should find other people.
Stuck?
Excellent. It's great to be stuck in the door.
You can push
You're like
it.
one of those Lego characters with their body and their legs.
You can
on.
always push the door to open it.
Yeah. That looks like you might learn a lot from being in that position. I'm going to be rich. I'm already £1 up.
I thought, ew. Okay. That's how you mean it. Right. I thought that you meant that by saying it today, it's actually going to become reality. Which would be a great thing. Maybe we should try that. I think William just fell down.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Ah!
Ah, fuck!
That's £2.
Well, no, wait.
That's £3.
Wait. That's. I was £1 up.
Uh-huh.
That's negated my £1 up, so now we're balanced again.
Well, yes, but then you swore.
Did I swear?
I said that's £1, and then you swore.
Oh, what did I say?
You said the F word, which I'm not going to repeat.
France.
Because it will cost me £1 if I repeat it.
Fiddle. So that means I'm.
You're £1 down.
Oh, that's negativity.
Why?
Well, £1 down is negativity.
Well, it's just.
Did you £1
no,
up? You have to be positive.
It's no.
You had a choice to be positive, and you were negative.
But I did point out the reality.
You're still £1 up. Let's just leave it at that and move on.
Okay. You have to get a piece of paper and put little
lines.
Like,
I'm going to do it. Look, I'm going to do it with.
Then we can square it. Then we can balance it at the end of the day. And figure out
we
who's
balance
lost
it. We have to balance it as we go along because then we'll know what the score is and who has to improve.
Oh, there are different ways of doing it. If that's one way that you'd like to do it, then feel free to do it that way. That's fine.
Thank you. I think I will.
Good, because you're awesome like that.
It also means
Well, try to stay safe while you're running up and down.
On the spot. That means we don't need to keep tabs because we'll always know. We don't have to count every single one. We just have to know where we are on average.
We will forget.
I think that from a positive perspective, we will be able to keep tabs on it. I don't think there's a need to be negative.
Yes,
in the
but
sense that
when
you say we will forget, do you mean that you will forget?
I will forget if I get further than £10 higher than you, I will probably lose.
That would be great if that happened for you.
It would
think that
be awesome, yes.
there might be other realities.
Yes, there's an endless plethora of possibilities.
I wonder if anybody else will notice the language that we are using.
I bet you they will if you keep speaking in this tone of voice. William has already noticed. It will be a fun exercise to also observe the language of other people.
If you keep speaking in that tone of voice, that's a negative suggestion, isn't
Why?
it? Well,
I'm
because you have an opportunity.
I'm just
you have the opportunity to be
saying-
positive.
I am positive. I'm just
Okay,
saying that the
okay,
tone of voice that you're speaking in is different than your usual tone of voice.
Jesus, you're being so. Why don't you just say? Remember to speak in these other tones of voices
Well, like
as
natural.
well.
Perhaps if you speak naturally, people may notice the change later than they would if you spoke in any other tone of voice.
I don't think we should tell people what we're doing because we should just let people figure it out themselves.
Yes, that sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can we start now? Can we restart now? Because you have used the forbidden language
Did I?
for about 5 times.
Did I really?
Just discussing this. I don't think that we should do
I
this.
thought that you were. I thought that you were £1 up.
I am.
Well, that's all good, isn't it? I mean, if we start again, then you're going to lose your pound. I don't want you to lose your pound.
Okay then. That is very kind of you.
There you go. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the bed, a unicorn is arm wrestling against our son and is beating him.
That is so funny. Oh! The unicorn won.
I think the unicorn collapsed. I had a heart attack.
It won.
I want to play.
Oh,
The unicorn
much
won. We
madness.
have to finish.
We do. We've only been doing this for 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Oh my goodness gracious me. Am I allowed to say my goodness
Careful of
gracious
the cables
me?
here, darling. If you're going to get up and don't stand on them.
Ah!
Play with them. Oh, frugal, fruit, and French fries. You're £2 up.
Hey,
You're £2 up.
I'm going to be rich. We will see who's got which mindset
Wait
in this
1 hour.
game.
Wait 1 hour, and we will see whose PMA is.
Do you think
is
that,
more powerful?
Do you think that people at Taekwondo will think that we are nutters?
I don't care what other people think.
Ah!
Fuck. Shit! No, that's 3. That's 3. I'm -5. No, you're +5.
I'm plus
Oh no, that's 6.
I'm +6. I'm going to be so wealthy.
Because there's no negative. Oh no.
I'm just, I'm
That's-
just going to be quiet all day and I'll just wait for you to roast.
I believe that all of these things may happen. I believe it's time to finish.
It will be fun.
Much
It will be
more
funny
excuses.
because you just spent 2 hours and a half telling me about my mindset being different from yours, and now it's going to show.
I'm not doing this because it's easy. Darn it! It's 7.
Okay, I'm going to get up now and sort everybody up. Hi, Jazz. Oh,
We have
Jonah's got a punch fight with
mad
a unicorn.
Which is
being murdered.
being murdered by our daughter. We've got our son who's
Laughing at it.
doing his thing, and Jazz who's just walked in with a doll's house and a police car. Good morning, Jazz.
How's the police car today?
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye to the people of the world.